Hello guys, welcome to Saiyan What Ifs. So in this video, we will see, what if Goku became Eternal Ultra Instinct? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1. The Silver Dawn. The universe trembled. It wasn't a metaphor or poetic exaggeration. Reality itself shuddered as cracks formed in the dimensional fabric separating Universe 7 from the void beyond. The Grand Priest paused mid-sentence, eyes widening fractionally, the closest he'd come to showing alarm in several millennia. In the solitude of his meditation chamber, Lord Zeno's head tilted slightly, childlike curiosity blooming as he sensed something interesting. On a forgotten moon orbiting a dead star, Goku stood alone against the Harbinger, a being of pure antlight that emerged from the space between universes. His friends lay scattered around him, not dead but thoroughly defeated. Piccolo, Vegeta, Gohan, even Beerus himself, all had fallen before this entity that existed to consume reality itself. Your universe ends today, the Harbinger's voice resonated not through air but directly into Goku's consciousness. Your potential was impressive, for a mortal. Blood streamed down Goku's face, his orange GI torn to shreds. His body had reached its limit several transformations ago. Super Saiyan Blue had failed. Even Ultra Instinct Sign, which he'd managed to activate briefly, hadn't been enough. The Harbinger extended a limb that wasn't quite a hand, more a concentration of darkness against the void, and began the final compression that would collapse this pocket of reality into nothingness. In that moment, something shifted in Goku's understanding. It wasn't thought or strategy, but something deeper. Throughout his life, he'd approached every limit as a wall to break through. But now he saw that limits weren't walls at all. They were horizons, arbitrary lines created by perception itself. "I'm not done yet," Goku said, his voice unusually calm. The silver-white aura of Ultra Instinct began to manifest, but differently than before. Instead of enveloping him from outside, it seemed to radiate from within, as though his very cells were generating the energy. His hair shifted to that familiar silvery white, his eyes took on their reflective mercury sheen, but something was fundamentally different. The Harbinger paused, sensing the anomaly. "Impossible. This power." "I don't know about impossible," Goku replied, a hint of his familiar grin returning. "I just know I'm not letting you hurt my friends or my universe." What happened next defied conventional perception. Goku moved, but movement was an inadequate description. He didn't cross the space between himself and the Harbinger, he simply existed in both places at once, then only at the point of impact. His fist connected with the core of the entity's being, but it wasn't just physical force. The silver energy of Ultra Instinct seemed to rewrite the very rules of existence where it touched the creature of Antlight. The Harbinger recoiled, genuinely damaged for the first time. "What is this? You are transcending your mortal constraints." "I guess I am," Goku replied, his voice resonating with harmonics that hadn't been present before. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle in any traditional sense. The Harbinger, a cosmic entity that had devoured stars, launched attacks that bent space-time. Goku didn't dodge them, his body simply wasn't where the attacks manifested, as though reality itself refused to allow the intersection of his form and the Harbinger's power. Each of Goku's counters struck with precision that existed beyond calculation. He wasn't predicting his opponent's movements or reacting to them, he was simply acting in perfect harmony with the moment. Each movement existing as an inevitable consequence of existence itself. As the conflict reached its crescendo, the Harbinger attempted its final gambit, a condensation of anti-reality that would erase everything within this dimension. The void-black sphere compressed between what passed for its hands, reality screaming at its edges. Goku stood perfectly still, the silver-white aura no longer Florida ring around him but somehow existing as part of him. When he moved, raising both hands before him, palms outward, the motion carried a finality that even the cosmic entity recognized. "No," the Harbinger whispered, fear entering its voice for the first time in its ageless existence. The silver energy that poured from Goku's hands wasn't a beam or blast. It was pure manifestation of will, of balance asserting itself against chaos. Where it touched the anti-reality sphere, restoration occurred. The Harbinger's very essence began to unravel, not destroyed but returned to the natural flow of existence. This isn't happening. The entity raged as its form dissolved. You are merely human. Goku's mercury eyes reflected nothing as he replied, I'm just me. With a final surge of silver light, the Harbinger dissipated completely. Its essence scattered across dimensions and returned to the natural order. The cracks in reality sealed themselves as balance was restored. And Goku remained, standing silently amid the unconscious forms of his friends. The silver white of his hair didn't fade. The mercurial sheen of his eyes didn't diminish. The aura no longer flared visibly around him, but it didn't vanished. It had simply become part of him, inseparable from his existence. Something fundamental had changed. Ultra Instinct wasn't just a state he had achieved, it had become his state of being. Vegeta was the first to regain consciousness, pushing himself up from the cratered surface of the desolate moon. His body protested with every movement, injuries from the battle with the Harbinger making themselves known with sharp clarity. The Prince of all Saiyans had been utterly defeated, a fact that rankled deeply despite the circumstances. Kakarot, he called out, scanning the battlefield. What he saw stopped him cold. Goku stood at the edge of a massive crater, his back to Vegeta. But this wasn't the Goku he knew. The silver-white hair was familiar from the few times he'd witnessed Ultra Instinct. But something was fundamentally different. The energy wasn't flaring around him in that divine aura, it seemed contained within him, yet somehow more present than ever before. The Harbinger, Vegeta managed, pulling himself fully to his feet despite his body's complaints. Goku turned, and Vegeta nearly took a step back. Those silver eyes, they weren't just transformed in color, they held an awareness that was entirely new. Goku's face held its familiar structures, but the expression was one Vegeta had never seen before, perfectly calm, yet intensely present, as though he was seeing everything for the first time while simultaneously understanding it all completely. It's gone, Goku replied, his voice carrying subtle harmonics that sent a chill down Vegeta's spine. Not destroyed, just rebalanced. Your transformation, Vegeta said, approaching cautiously. Why hasn't it faded? Goku looked down at his hands, studying them with curious detachment. I don't think it can fade anymore, Vegeta. This isn't a transformation now. It's just me. Before Vegeta could respond, a groan announced Piccolo's return to consciousness. The Namekian warrior pulled himself up, clutching his injured arm. Eyes immediately finding Goku and widening in shock. What happened? Piccolo demanded, his strategic mind already working despite his injuries. Your energy, it's completely different. One by one, the others regained consciousness. Gohan, still in his ultimate form though heavily damaged. Beerus, the god of destruction looking more annoyed than injured. Whis, who alone seemed unsurprised by Goku's appearance. Dad, Gohan approached his father carefully. Are you okay? Goku's silver eyes turned to his son, softening slightly. I'm fine, Gohan. Better than fine, actually. I feel complete. Beerus dusted himself off with exaggerated nonchalance, but his eyes never left Goku's form. Well, he said finally. It seems our Saiyan friend has gone and done something truly troublesome this time. Whis stepped forward, his staff tapping lightly against the moon's surface. Indeed, most fascinating. Son Goku, it appears you've achieved something unprecedented, a permanent Ultra Instinct state. Permanent, Gohan echoed, looking between Whis and his father. Quite, Whis nodded, circling Goku with analytical interest. Ultra Instinct was never meant to be a sustained state for mortals. It's a technique of the gods, a momentary perfect harmony of offensive and defensive capacity. But you, Son Goku, have somehow integrated it into your very being. Goku flexed his fingers, an expression of wonder crossing his face. Everything feels different, like I'm seeing the world for the first time. He looked up at his friends. I can sense everything so clearly now. Your energy, your thoughts, your emotions, they're all like colors I never knew existed before. Vegeta crossed his arms, his expression guarded. Is he still Kakarot, or has this transformation changed who he is? The question hung in the air, heavier than it might have seemed. Goku turned to Vegeta, and for a moment, that familiar goofy grin broke through the serene expression. I'm still me, Vegeta. Just more me than I've ever been before. Before anyone could respond, a new voice cut through the moment. The Silver Guardian, the voice, distinctly female, rich with an accent none of them recognized, called from behind them. The prophecy was true. They turned as one to find a figure standing atop a nearby rock formation. Female, humanoid, with skin a rich olive tone and hair the deep red of cooling embers. She wore battle armor reminiscent of Saiyan design but fundamentally different, more organic in appearance, with flowing lines instead of rigid plates. Most striking was the tail wrapped securely around her waist. Another Saiyan. Vegeta's shock was evident. Impossible. The woman leapt from her perch, landing with fluid grace before them. Close up. Her Saiyan heritage was undeniable, the proud bearing. The warrior's physique, the dark eyes that assessed combat potential with every glance. Yet differences were equally apparent. Her features were more angular, her stature taller than most Saiyan females. And patterns of what appeared to be ritual scarification traced along her exposed forearms. My name is Lyra, Elite Guardian of Universe 21, she announced, then fixed her gaze directly on Goku. And you are the Silver 1-hour seers have glimpsed across the veils of reality. Universe 21, Beerus scoffed. There are only 12 universes in existence. Lyra's eyes flicked to Beerus, assessing him briefly before dismissing him just as quickly, an action that caused the god of destruction's eyes to narrow dangerously. Your cosmology is limited, Destroyer, she stated flatly. The Harbinger's attack weakened the barriers between realities. There are universes beyond your 12, sealed away by the original one for purposes beyond your comprehension. How dare, Beerus began, a purple aura of destruction energy beginning to form around his hand. Whis cleared his throat delicately. Perhaps we might delay the existential revelations and potential in conflict until after we've returned to Earth and tended to our rather significant injuries. Goku, who had been studying Lyra with that new, intensely aware gaze, finally spoke. You've come a long way. You're looking for help. It wasn't a question, and Lyra's slight widening of eyes confirmed his accuracy. How did you? She began. I can see it, Goku replied simply. Your universe is dying. You've lost something important, something that maintained balance. Lyra's composed expression cracked momentarily, revealing genuine shock. The keystone was shattered 3 cycles ago. Without it, the fundamental forces of our universe are unraveling. Her eyes hardened again. The prophecy spoke of a warrior with the silver eyes of creation, who would transcend mortality while remaining mortal. You or him? Vegeta snorted derisively. Kakarot may have achieved something impressive, but he's not some prophesied savior for a universe we've never heard of. Actually, Whis interjected, PPing his staff thoughtfully against the ground, this is becoming rather interesting. Son Goku, in achieving this permanent Ultra Instinct state, has indeed created something of a cosmic anomaly. The energies he now naturally embodies are similar to those used by the gods in creation itself. Gohan stepped closer to his father, concerned. Is that dangerous? For Dad, I mean. Whis tilted his head, considering. Potentially. Such power was never meant to reside permanently within a mortal form. It may have unpredictable consequences. I feel fine, Goku offered, though his silver eyes reflected complexity beyond his simple words. Better than fine. The Silver Guardian's emergence was foretold to coincide with the rise of the Void Collective, Lyra continued, her gaze never leaving Goku. The Harbinger was merely their herald. What comes next will threaten not just my universe, but all realities. Piccolo, who had been silently observing until now, stepped forward. Convenient, at your prophecy leads you directly to Goku just as he achieves this new power. Lyra turned her steady gaze to the Namekian. Skepticism is the luxury of those whose worlds aren't actively collapsing, Green 1. Before tensions could escalate further, the air several meters away shimmered and distorted. A familiar staff tapped twice against the moon's surface as a tall, blue-skinned figure stepped into existence. My, the Grand Priest said pleasantly, though his eyes conveyed anything but pleasantness as they fixed on Goku. It seems we have quite the situation developing. Beerus immediately straightened, all annoyance vanishing from his demeanor. Grand Priest, this is unexpected. Indeed, the celestial being replied, his gaze never leaving Goku's silver form. When a mortal permanently embodies the power of Ultra Instinct, it rather demands attention at the highest levels. His eyes shifted briefly to Lyra, as does the appearance of beings from sealed realities. Lyra met his gaze without flinching, a feat that impressed even Vegeta. The barriers are failing, attendant of Xeno. Pretending otherwise won't change that reality. The Grand Priest's perpetual smile didn't waver, but the air around them seemed to grow heavy. You speak with remarkable boldness for one so far from home, Lyra of the Crimson Line. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You know who I am. I know all who might disturb the careful balance. The Grand Priest replied evenly. Then, returning his attention to Goku, Son Goku, your achievement is unprecedented. Lord Xeno finds it fascinating. However, the cosmic implications are significant. You will need to appear before him. Goku nodded, his silver eyes reflecting nothing. I understand. Wait, Gohan interjected, stepping forward protectively. My father just fought a cosmic entity and underwent a major transformation. He needs rest, not another trial. The Grand Priest's expression remained unchanging, but something in his eyes softened marginally. Your concern is noted, Son Gohan. However, this matter transcends personal consideration. The balance of all realities may be affected. I'll go, Goku said, placing a reassuring hand on his son's shoulder. But first, we need to get everyone back to Earth and healed. And, he turned to Lyra, I want to hear more about this prophecy and the threat you mentioned. For a moment, it seemed the Grand Priest might object. Instead, he inclined his head slightly. Very well, you have until tomorrow's dawn. Then you will appear before Lord Xeno. With that, he tapped his staff once more and vanished. Silence fell over the group, heavy with implication. Well, Whis said brightly, breaking the tension, shall we return to Earth? I believe we could all use some of that delicious food you call pizza after such exertions. Earth materialized around them as Whis completed the transportation. They appeared on the lookout, Dend and Mr. Popo rushing forward at their arrival. Goku, Dend exclaimed, then stopped abruptly, eyes widening at the Saiyan's transformed appearance. Your energy, it's completely different. He's achieved a permanent Ultra Instinct state, Piccolo explained briefly. We have wounded that need attention. Dend nodded, immediately focusing on his healing duties, starting with Gohan whose injuries were most severe. As the young guardian worked, Goku walked to the edge of the lookout. Gazing out over the Earth with new eyes. The planet looked different to him now. He could perceive energy flows he'd never noticed before, the subtle currents of life force from the forests. The concentrated nodes of power in cities, the delicate balance of elements in the atmosphere. Earth was alive in ways he'd never comprehended. He sensed Lyra's approach before. He heard her. Her energy signature was distinctly Saiyan, yet different in fundamental ways from any Saiyan he'd known. It was more integrated, somehow, as though her life force had harmonized with something beyond herself. Your world is beautiful, she said, stopping beside him. Ours once looked similar. Goku turned to study her. With his enhanced perception, he could see layers to her being that would have been invisible before. Beneath her composed exterior lay determination bordering on desperation, grief carefully contained, and something else, a unique energy pattern that spoke of genetic engineering beyond anything in Universe 7. You're not just a Saiyan, he observed. Your people evolved differently. Lyra's eyebrow arched slightly. Your new awareness is impressive. Yes, in Universe 21, our ancestors took a different path. After the fall of the original Saiyan homeworld, survivors fled to a planet rich in evolutionary catalysts. Over generations, we integrated these elements, becoming something more than pure Saiyan, though we maintain our heritage and warrior spirit. She turned to face him fully, her expression intensifying. But that's not important now. What matters is that your emergence coincides perfectly with our prophecy. The Silver Guardian, a being of mortal birth who achieves divine perception without losing his mortal heart. I'm just a fighter who hit a new level, Goku said. Though even as he spoke, he knew it wasn't entirely true. This wasn't just another transformation, it was a fundamental shift in his very nature. You're far more than that now, Lyra replied. The Void Collective is awakening. They exist between dimensions, feeding on the energy of dying universes. They've already consumed 3 realities adjacent to ours. Without Keystone maintaining our universe's fundamental balance, we'll be next. And after that, the barriers between all universes will weaken enough for them to threaten everything, including your Earth. Goku absorbed this information, processing it with his newly expanded awareness. You said I could help restore this keystone. Not exactly, Lyra admitted. The original keystone is beyond recovery. But the prophecy speaks of the Silver Guardian creating a new balance, a living keystone that doesn't just restore what was lost, but evolves it into something stronger. Before Goku could respond, he sensed several energy signatures approaching rapidly, familiar ones that caused a smile to break through his serene expression. Dad, Goten's voice called out as the young half-Saiyan landed on the lookout, followed closely by Trunks. Behind them, moving at a more measured pace, came Chi-Chi and Bulma in one of Capsule Corp's aircraft. The boys skidded to a halt several feet away, their expression shifting from excitement to confusion as they took in Goku's transformed appearance. Dad, Goten questioned, approaching cautiously. Is that really you? You look different. Goku knelt to his younger son's level, his silver eyes softening. It's still me, buddy. Just a new version of me. Chi-Chi burst from the aircraft the moment it touched down, rushing toward her husband with a mixture of relief and apprehension. She stopped short, her hand raising involuntarily to her mouth as she took in his transformation. Goku, she whispered, what's happened to you? The question held layers of meaning, not just about his physical transformation, but about what it meant for them, for their family, for the life they'd built together. I'm okay, Chi-Chi, he assured her gently, rising to his feet. I've changed, but I'm still me. Her eyes searched his silver ones, looking for the husband she knew behind this divine appearance. Whatever she saw there made her shoulders relax slightly, though concern remained etched in her features. You're always changing, Goku, she said softly. Always reaching for something beyond. But you always come back to us. It was a statement, but also a question. Would this time be different? Before he could answer, Bulma approached, her analytical gaze taking in his transformation with scientific curiosity rather than personal concern. Ultra instinct, she observed. But it's not fading. Fascinating. Then, noticing Lyra for the first time, and who might you be? Lyra straightened, assessing Bulma briefly before responding. Lyra, Elite Guardian of Universe 21. Universe 21. Bulma's eyes widened. But there are only 12 universes. That's a common misconception, Whis interjected smoothly, approaching with a freshly healed Vegeta. E12 universes you're familiar with exist in paired sets under Lord Zeno's direct authority. However, the full cosmic structure is considerably more complex. And considerably more threatened, Lyra added grimly. The Silver Guardian's emergence was prophesied to coincide with an existential threat to all realities. Always an apocalypse, Bulma sighed. Can't we ever just have a nice transformation without the universe being in danger? Despite everything, Goku found himself laughing, a sound that momentarily surprised everyone, himself included. His laugh held the same essence as always, that familiar Goku quality. But now carried harmonics that seemed to resonate with reality itself. Some things never change, he said, his silver eyes crinkling with genuine mirth. No matter how powerful I get, there's always something bigger to fight. The tension broke, and for a moment, they were just friends and family reunited after a battle, a scene that had played out countless times before. Yet underlying it all was the awareness that this time was fundamentally different. Goku's transformation wasn't temporary, and its implications extended far beyond their immediate circle. As night fell over the lookout, they gathered to discuss the situation. Den had finished healing everyone's injuries, and Mr. Popo had prepared a feast that even Saiyans would find satisfying. Despite the circumstances, watching Goku eat provided a strange comfort to those who knew him best. His appetite, at least, remained unchanged by his transformation. The way I understand it, Gohan said, leaning forward with his scholarly intensity. Dad has somehow integrated Ultra Instinct completely into his being, rather than accessing it as a temporary state. Precisely, Whis nodded. Most fascinating, and utterly unprecedented for a mortal being. What does this mean practically? Piccolo asked. Besides the obvious power increase. Whis tapped his staff thoughtfully against the floor. Ultra Stinct is more than just enhanced combat ability. It represents perfect harmony between body, mind, and spirit, action without thought, movement without hesitation, perception beyond normal limits. In its complete form, it allows one to act in perfect accordance with the flow of reality itself. Which explains why he seems to know things he shouldn't, Bulma observed, glancing at Lyra. Like details about Universe 21. I don't exactly know things, Goku attempted to explain, searching for words to describe his new perception. It's more like, I can see patterns now. Connections. When I look at Lyra, I can see how her energy connects to her universe, how that universe relates to ours, how the damage she described creates specific disruptions in those patterns. And the Void Collective, Vegeta prompted, his arms crossed in his characteristic pose. What do you see about them? Goku's expression grew serious, the silver in his eyes seeming to deepen. Something hungry, not evil exactly, but emptiness seeking to be filled. They consume because that's their nature, like a black hole consumes light. Lyra nodded grimly. That's precisely what they are. They exist in the spaces between universes, feeding on reality itself. Normally, the barriers between dimensions keep them contained, but as universes die, or as cracks form like those created by the Harbinger, they gain entry. And they've already consumed 3 universes adjacent to yours, Piccolo summarized. With yours next on the menu because it's already destabilizing without this keystone. Yes, Lyra confirmed. And once they gain enough power from consuming our universe, the barriers between all realities will be insufficient to contain them. Great, Chi-Chi sighed. Another threat to all existence. Just what we needed. Goku placed his hand gently over hers. I have to help, Chi-Chi. I know, she replied, resignation and understanding mingling in her voice. You always do. It's who you are. She looked up into his silver eyes. Just promise me you'll come back. Whatever this new form means, whatever responsibilities come with it, remember you have responsibilities here too. To your family. Something shifted in Goku's expression, a depth of understanding that hadn't been there before his transformation. I see it so clearly now, Chi-Chi. The connections between us, our family, our friends, they're not just emotional ties. They're part of the fabric of who I am. I'll always come back, because you're all part of me. The simple eloquence of his words, so unlike the Goku they knew, left many of them momentarily speechless. Beerus, who had been uncharacteristically quiet throughout the discussion, finally spoke. Touching as this family reunion is, we have more immediate concerns. The Grand Priest doesn't make personal appearances for trivial matters. His interest in your transformation, Son Goku, suggests cosmic implications none of us fully comprehend yet. Lord Zeno may simply be curious, Whis suggested. He has always shown particular interest in Son Goku. Or, Beerus countered darkly, he may see this permanent Ultra Instinct as a disruption to the divine order. One that needs to be corrected. The implication hung heavy in the air. Zeno wouldn't. Bulma began, then stopped herself. They all knew the childlike god of everything was as unpredictable as he was powerful. I'll face whatever comes, Goku said simply. But first, we need to understand more about the Void Collective and how my new abilities might help counter them. Lyra nodded approvingly. Quote, the prophecy speaks of the Silver Guardian's awakening as both challenge and opportunity. The same power that disrupts cosmic balance also holds the key to establishing a new equilibrium. Always conveniently vague, these prophecies. Vegeta muttered. As the discussion continued deep into the night, Goku occasionally found his attention drifting, not from disinterest but from the overwhelming new sensory input his enhanced perception provided. He could feel the earth rotating beneath them, sense the dreams of sleeping humans in cities below, perceive the subtle shifts in cosmic energy as distant stars lived and died. Most distinctly, he felt a growing awareness of something watching from the spaces between dimensions, vast consciousnesses turning their attention toward this reality like predators sensing vulnerable prey. The Void Collective was indeed real. And they were coming. Dawn approached with inevitable certainty, painting the sky in hues that Goku now perceived in spectra beyond normal human vision. He stood alone at the edge of the lookout, having spent the night in silent meditation rather than sleep, another change brought by his transformation. His body no longer seemed to require rest in the conventional sense, instead drawing rejuvenation directly from the ambient energy of the universe itself. He sensed Whis' approach long before the angel spoke. "It's almost time," Whis said gently. "The Grand Priest will return soon to escort you to Lord Zeno." "I know," Goku replied, his silver eyes fixed on the horizon. "I can feel the shifts in dimensional energy as preparations are made for my arrival." Whis studied him with renewed interest. "Your perception has expanded considerably. How much can you see now, Son Goku?" Goku considered the question carefully. "It's not just seeing. It's experiencing everything at once, but without being overwhelmed by it. I can feel the life force of every being on Earth, distinguish individual energy signatures across vast distances. Perceive the flowing currents of time itself." He paused, searching for words. "But it's not just information. I understand it all in ways I never could before." "And how has this changed you?" Whis asked, the question holding layers of meaning. "I'm still me," Goku said, turning to face the angel. "My heart is the same. I still love my family, care for my friends, enjoy fighting strong opponents. But now I see the connections between all things, how my actions ripple across reality, how each life touches countless others." A subtle smile touched Whis' lips. "Perhaps that is why you, of all beings, achieved this state permanently. Your heart was always your greatest strength, Son Goku. Now your perception has expanded to match it." The air shimmered beside them as the Grand Priest materialized, his perpetual smile firmly in place. "Good morning, Son Goku," he greeted pleasantly. "I trust you've had sufficient time to address your immediate concerns." Goku nodded, his silver eyes meeting the Grand Priest's without hesitation. "I'm ready." "Very well." The Grand Priest raised his staff. "We shall wait," a chorus of voices called out. Turning, Goku saw his friends and family approaching across the lookout, Chi-Chi and his sons in the lead, followed by Vegeta, Bulma, Piccolo, and the others. Even Lyra stood among them, her normally stoic expression softened slightly. "You weren't going to leave without saying goodbye, were you?" Chi-Chi demanded, though her tone held more concern than anger. "I'll be back," Goku assured her with gentle confidence. "You better be," she replied, then surprised everyone by throwing her arms around him, unconcerned by the subtle silver aura that now permanently surrounded his form. "We've been through too much for you to disappear on me now, Son Goku." He returned her embrace, careful to control his vastly increased strength. "I understand so much more clearly now, Chi-Chi. What matters? What's worth fighting for?" She stepped back, wiping away a tear but maintaining her composure. "Just remember who you are." Goten and Gohan approached next, each embracing their father briefly. "Will you teach me to reach Ultra Instinct when you get back, Dad?" Goten asked with childlike enthusiasm. Goku ruffled his younger son's hair affectionately. "We'll see, buddy. It's a pretty big step." Gohan studied his father with scholarly intensity mixed with filial concern. "Be careful, Dad. Even with this new power, Lord Zeno is unpredictable." "I will," Goku promised. Vegeta stepped forward last, his arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Kakarot, Vegeta." They regarded each other silently for a moment, decades of rivalry, respect, and shared battles passing between them without words. "Don't do anything stupid," Vegeta said finally. "I still intend to surpass you someday." A grin broke through Goku's serene expression. "I'd expect nothing less." Lyra approached, maintaining a respectful distance from the Grand Priest Who's presence she clearly regarded with caution. "Silver Guardian," she said formally. "Our fates are intertwined. When you return from the Divine Realm, we must speak further of the prophecy and the coming darkness." Goku nodded solemnly. "We will." If the touching farewells are complete, the Grand Priest interjected smoothly, "we really must be going. Lord Zeno is not accustomed to waiting." A final look at his gathered loved ones, Goku stepped beside the Grand Priest. The celestial being tapped his staff once against the lookout floor, and reality shifted around them. The journey to Zeno's palace transcended conventional transportation. They didn't simply move through space, they transitioned between layers of existence itself. For most beings, such travel would be incomprehensible, potentially fatal. But Goku's enhanced perception allowed him to experience the journey fully, observing the intricate structures of reality as they passed through dimensional boundaries. Fascinating, the Grand Priest commented. Noting Goku's awareness. Most mortals must close their eyes during such transitions to preserve their sanity. It's beautiful, Goku replied, watching cosmic filament. TS of energy connecting various realities like a vast multidimensional web. I never realized how interconnected everything is. Indeed, a perspective usually reserved for divine beings. The Grand Priest's tone remained pleasant, but carried an undertone Goku couldn't quite interpret. Which brings us to the matter at hand. The transition completed, and they materialized in the vast, ethereal expanse of Zeno's palace. Unlike his previous visits, Goku now perceived the structure not just physically but energetically. The entire palace existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions, Anshur. In all realities yet belonging to none. At the center, seated on his floating throne, was Lord Zeno, diminutive in stature yet radiating an energy that even Goku's enhanced perception couldn't fully comprehend. Beside him stood his counterpart from the alternate timeline, identical in appearance and aura. Both turned their childlike faces toward Goku as he appeared, their eyes widening with curiosity. Goku! They exclaimed in unison, their voices carrying the strange mix of childish enthusiasm and cosmic power that characterized the gods of everything. Hey, Zeno, Goku replied with casual friendliness that made the Grand Priest blink in barely perceptible surprise. Despite his transformation, Goku's straightforward nature remained intact. Thanks for wanting to see me. The Zenos floated down from their throne, circling Goku with undisguised fascination. You're all shiny now, observed the first Zeno. Silver and glowy, agreed the second. Ultra instinct, the first nodded. But all the time, the second added. They completed their circuit and floated before him, heads tilted in perfect synchronization. Interesting, they declared together. The Grand Priest stepped forward with a formal bow. As you can see, my lords, Son Goku has achieved a permanent Ultra Instinct state, an unprecedented development for a mortal being. We like Goku, the first Zeno stated simply. He's our friend, the second affirmed. But, they continued in unison, their childlike expressions turning suddenly serious, the balance is disturbed. The atmosphere in the palace shifted, cosmic energy condensing around the twin deities. Despite his new power, Goku felt a moment of genuine apprehension. The Zenos' power dwarfed his own as vastly as his power now dwarfed an ordinary human's. Son Goku, the Grand Priest said formally, your achievement of permanent Ultra Instinct represents a fundamental disruption to the established cosmic order. Such power was never meant to reside permanently within a mortal vessel. Am I in trouble? Goku asked directly, his silver eyes reflecting nothing. The Zenos looked at each other, then back at Goku. Not trouble, said the first. But problem, added the second. Your existence now creates ripples across all realities, the Grand Priest explained. The divine hierarchy has always maintained cosmic balance. Gods of destruction and supreme Kais exist in perfect counterbalance. Angels serve as guides and limiters. Mortals evolve through conflict and growth. Each role is essential and distinct. And I don't fit anymore, Goku concluded, his enhanced perception allowing him to understand the implications fully. Precisely, the Grand Priest nodded. You exist in a state between mortal and divine, a living paradox that the cosmic order has no category for. So what happens now? Goku asked, though he could sense the potential outcomes unfolding like branching timelines before him. The Zenos consulted with each other in whispered tones that, despite their low volume, Goku could perceive perfectly with his enhanced senses. We could erase him, the first suggested without malice, as if discussing removing a piece from a game board. But he's our friend, the second countered. We could make him a destroyer, the first offered. But there are already enough destroyers, the second pointed out. We could watch and see what happens, the first proposed. That could be fun, the second agreed, brightening. They turned back to Goku, having reached their decision with the capricious speed of beings who existed beyond conventional constraints. Goku stays Goku, they declared in unison. My lords, the Grand Priest questioned, his perfect composure showing the faintest crack of surprise. The Silver Guardian is necessary, the first Zeno stated with unexpected seriousness. For what comes next, the second added ominously. Goku's eyes widened slightly. You know about the Void Collective. The Zenos' expressions darkened simultaneously. childlike features taking on an ancient gravity that belied their appearance. Old enemies, the first said. From before, the second added. Before us, they finished together. The Grand Priest's expression shifted subtly. My lords, if I may, the Void Collective was sealed away in the prior cosmic cycle. Their resurgence represents a threat beyond conventional parameters. And now there's Goku, the first Xeno said with simple finality. Silver Goku, the second clarified, pointing at Goku's transformed state. The cosmic balance is indeed disrupted, the Grand Priest acknowledged. But perhaps, purposefully so, the implication hung in the air, that Goku's transformation wasn't merely an accident or anomaly, but perhaps a necessary development in the face of a greater threat. The prophecy, Goku murmured. Understanding dawning. Lyra's people didn't just foresee my transformation. Somehow, they knew it was part of something bigger. The Xenos clapped their hands in simultaneous delight. Goku understands. Sort of, Goku admitted. I can see the patterns now, the connections between events that seemed random before. My battles, my transformations, even meeting Lyra, they're all part of something larger unfolding across multiple realities. The Void Collective threatens all existence, the Grand Priest stated formally. Even Lord Xeno's authority extends only within the confines of established reality. The collective exists partly outside those parameters, in the spaces between dimensions, feeding on reality itself. And I'm supposed to stop them somehow, Goku concluded. It wasn't a question. Not alone, the first Xeno corrected. With others, the second added. A team, they exclaimed together, their childlike enthusiasm returning. Goku couldn't help but smile at their sudden shift in mood. Despite his transformation, the Xeno's capricious nature still managed to surprise him. The Silver Guardian must gather those who stand between realities. The Grand Priest interpreted formally. The prophecy speaks of guardians from different universes, each representing a fundamental cosmic principle. Like the keystone from Universe 21, Goku reasoned. It wasn't just a thing, it was a system of balance maintained by guardians. Indeed, the Grand Priest confirmed. The Keystone Council once maintained equilibrium across multiple realities. Their dissolution 3 cosmic cycles ago created vulnerabilities the Void Collective now exploits. And I'm supposed to, what? Recreate this council? Goku asked, his enhanced mind already connecting patterns. Seeing possibilities unfold. You have become a nexus point, the Grand Priest explained. A living keystone around which a new cosmic balance might form. But you cannot maintain that balance alone. Goku thought of Lyra, of the desperation underlying her composed exterior. So I need to find these other guardians. Bring them together somehow. Yes, the Xenos exclaimed in unison, bouncing in midair with excitement. A team, like the Tournament of Power, but for saving everything. That actually sounds like fun, Goku admitted, his old fighting spirit shining through his transcendent state. The Grand Priest's perpetual smile returned. Then it seems we have our resolution. Son Goku will maintain his eternal Ultra Instinct state, but with purpose, to gather the new keystone. Council and counter the Void Collective's advance. Yay, the Xenos cheered, clapping their hands. One question, Goku said, his silver eyes reflecting sudden concern. How long do we have before Void Collective breaks through completely? The palace fell silent. The Xenos looked at each other, their childlike features growing solemn once more. Time is different between realities, the first Xeno said softly. Already happening in some places, the second added gravely. 3 major incursions have already occurred, the Grand Priest clarified. Universe 21 will be the 4th, and likely the tipping point. Once they consume its essence, the barriers between all realities will be insufficient to contain them. Then I need to get back, Goku said with newfound urgency. Lyra's universe is already destabilizing without their keystone. The Xenos nodded in unison. Go, Silver Goku, find your team. The first encouraged. Save everything. The second added enthusiastically. Before we erase it all and start over. They finished together with cheerful finality. The Grand Priest cleared his throat delicately. My lords prefer decisive solutions when cosmic threats arise. I would encourage expediency in your mission. Son Goku. Right. Goku nodded, understanding perfectly. If he failed, the Xenos' solution would be simple and absolute. erase everything and reset the multiverse. Again. With a final bow to the diminutive gods, Goku prepared to depart. As the Grand Priest raised his staff to initiate their return journey, Goku's enhanced perception caught something, a subtle distortion in the fabric of reality at the edges of the palace, a darkening that seemed to absorb the ambient divine energy. The Void Collective was already watching. Even here, in the heart of divine authority, time was running out faster than anyone realized. Chapter 2. Cosmic Convergence. Goku materialized on the lookout, silver aura rippling subtly as dimensional barriers sealed behind him. The Grand Priest had departed without ceremony, leaving only a cryptic reminder. The pieces are already in motion, Son Goku. You need only recognize them. Dawn had fully broken over Earth, painting the sky in hues Goku perceived in spectra beyond mortal vision. His friends and family remained gathered where he'd left them, their expressions shifting from anticipation to relief as he appeared unharmed. Dad. Goten rushed forward, wrapping his arms around his father's waist. What happened? Did Zeno want to fight you? Are you in trouble? Goku placed a gentle hand on his son's head, smiling. No fighting this time. Zeno was curious and concerned. Piccolo's gravelly voice cut through the moment. About your transformation? Not exactly. Goku turned to address everyone, his silver eyes reflecting nothing yet somehow perceiving everything. The Zenos confirmed what Lyra told us. The Void Collective is real, and apparently ancient enemies from before even their time. A heavy silence fell over the group. Before Zeno, Bulma whispered, I didn't think anything existed before him. Many things predate the current cosmic cycle, Whis offered, his typically light tone carrying unusual gravity. Most were sealed away when this reality was established. Vegeta's eyes narrowed. And now they're breaking free because this keystone was destroyed. Yes, Lyra stepped forward, her posture straightening with renewed purpose. The Silver Guardian's audience with the Divine One confirms our prophecy's accuracy. Not just that, Goku continued. According to the Grand Priest, my transformation wasn't an accident. The eternal Ultra Instinct state gives me the ability to become a living keystone, a nexus point for a new cosmic balance. But not alone, Lyra concluded, understanding dawning in her eyes. The prophecy speaks of the Silver Guardian gathering those who stand between worlds, the new Keystone Council. Goku nodded. Exactly. We need to find others with IFIC connections to cosmic forces, representatives of fundamental principles that maintain reality itself. How exactly are we supposed to find these cosmic representatives? Krillin asked, voicing the practical concern on everyone's mind. It's not like they'll have fundamental principle written on their foreheads. Before anyone could respond, a sudden shift in atmospheric pressure swept across the lookout. The air 20 feet above the platform shimmered and distorted, coalescing into what appeared to be a tear in reality itself. Through this dimensional wound, darkness deeper than night pulsed with malevolent intelligence. They've found us already, Lyra hissed, dropping into a combat stance. A Void Scout. The darkness extruded a tendril that seemed to absorb light rather than displace it. As it extended toward the gathered warriors, Goku moved, not with speed but with inevitability, simply existing between the threat and his loved ones. Everyone back, he commanded, his voice carrying harmonics that brooked no argument. The silver aura around him intensified, not flaring outward but somehow becoming more defined, more real than reality itself. When the darkness touched this silver light, it recoiled as though burned, emitting a sound like reality tearing. You don't belong here, Goku stated simply, addressing the entity directly. His silver eyes reflected the void perfectly, revealing nothing of his own thoughts. This reality is protected. A voice that wasn't a voice, more a disruption in thought itself, emanated from the darkness. Silver One. Anomaly. We have found you. Yes, Goku replied calmly. And I've found you. Remember that when you report back to your collective. The darkness pulsed, expanding briefly before contracting in apparent confusion. The portion that had touched Goku's aura seemed permanently altered, a silver luminescence now threaded through that section of void, weakening its coherence. You cannot stop consumption, the entity projected. Its disruption voice tinged with what might have been uncertainty. All reality feeds the void. We'll see about that, Goku replied. Without another word, The darkness retreated, the Dimensio Null tear sealing itself with a sound like thunder in reverse. Silence fell over the lookout as everyone processed what they'd witnessed. Was that? Gohan began, scientific curiosity warring with warrior's caution. A scout, Lyra confirmed grimly. They send them ahead to assess realities before full incursion. That one will return to the collective with knowledge of the Silver Guardian's existence. Good, Goku said, turning back to the group. The silver aura around him had returned to its subtle, contained state. Now they know we're waiting for them. Are you insane? Vegeta demanded. You just announced our presence to an enemy that consumes entire universes. They already knew, Goku replied with certainty. My transformation sent ripples across all realities, that's why the scout came now. Better to show strength early than hide and let them dictate the terms of engagement. The tactical assessment, delivered with calm certainty, momentarily silenced even Vegeta. This wasn't the Goku they knew, the battle-hungry Saiyan who rushed headlong into conflict for the joy of fighting. This was someone who saw patterns beyond their perception, who calculated cosmic consequences with each action. So what now? Piccolo asked, adaptive as always. You said we need to find others for this Keystone Council. We won't have to find all of them, Goku replied, his silver eyes shifting toward the eastern horizon. Some are already finding us. As if summoned by his words, a new energy signature materialized at the edge of the lookout, one that none of them had felt before. Unlike the void entity's wrongness, this presence felt ancient, primordial, as though someone had given form to time itself. A woman stepped into view, though stepped inadequately described her movement. She seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, only settling into a single position as they all turned to observe her. Tall and willowy, with skin that shifted subtly between obsidian and deepest blue. She wore what appeared to be a simple black bodysuit that somehow contained pinpricks of light like distant stars. Her hair, if it could be called that, moved in currents invisible to normal perception. Cosmic filaments that extended and retracted in complex patterns. Most striking were her eyes, entirely black except for pupils that glowed with the white-blue intensity of newborn stars. The Silver Guardian, she said, her voice carrying harmonics similar to Goku's transformed speech. You've finally awakened. I've been waiting. Well, forever, I suppose. Who are you? Vegeta demanded, instantly on guard. The woman's gaze flicked to Vegeta, then away, as though he registered as barely consequential in her perception. My name, in your language's closest approximation, would be Nyx, she replied. Then, returning her attention to Goku, I am what your kind might call an observer, a cosmic entity that exists between dimensions. I've watched the multiverse since its formation, forbidden from interference until now. Until now, Piccolo questioned sharply. Nyx's star-bright eyes never left Goku's silver ones. Until the emergence of the Silver Guardian and the return of the Void Collective. These events release me from my constraint of observation only. Goku studied her with his enhanced perception. Unlike humans or even gods, her energy signature didn't emanate from a central core. It existed throughout her form simultaneously, interconnected in patterns that reminded him of constellations. She was, he realized, as much a cosmic phenomenon as a person. You're one of them, he stated with certainty. One of the council members we need. A smile that somehow conveyed both ancient wisdom and childlike pleasure spread across her features. Very good, Silver Guardian. Your perception develops rapidly. Yes, I represent continuity, the principle that maintains consistent reality across dimensional boundaries. Convenient timing, Vegeta muttered suspiciously. The Re is no such thing as coincidence at cosmic scales, Prince of Few, Nyx replied without looking at him. All is pattern, recursion, inevitability. Her star eyes returned to Goku. You understand this now, don't you? With your awakened perception. I'm starting to, Goku acknowledged. The connections were always there, I just couldn't see them before. As touching as this cosmic reunion is, B. Eris interjected with obvious irritation, perhaps someone might explain what exactly is happening here. Immortal observers, Keystone Councils, Void Collectives. This is rapidly exceeding my patience threshold. Whis tapped his staff gently against the lookout floor. I believe, Lord Beerus, we are witnessing the reassembly of a cosmic regulatory system that predates our current universal structure. One might call it a changing of the guard. Beerus's eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you implying these entities supersede the authority of the gods of destruction? Not supersede, Nyx corrected smoothly. Complement. Your role, destroyer, is essential within the established order. Ours exists at the boundaries between orders. The spaces between universes, Goku added, understanding flowing through his enhanced perception. Where the Void Collective is trying to break through. Precisely. Nyx inclined her head, cosmic filaments of her hair shifting in complex patterns. The divine hierarchy maintains order within realities. The Keystone Council maintains the boundaries between realities. Both are necessary, and both are now incomplete, Lyra added grimly. Without our Keystone in Universe 21, our reality is already collapsing. Soon, the barriers between all universes will weaken enough for full incursion. How many? Goku asked, his silver eyes fixed on Nyx. How many council members do we need to find? 5 represent the fundamental forces, Nyx replied. Continuity, which I embody. Energy, void, form, and consciousness. She gestured to Lyra. Your Saiyan companion represents energy. Though she doesn't yet fully understand her role. Lyra's eyes widened. Me, but I came seeking the Silver Guardian. Because you are drawn to your cosmic counterpart, Nyx explained patiently. The Keystone Council orbits around the Nexus, the living keystone who embodies balance itself. Her star eyes returned to Goku. That's you, Silver Guardian. Your eternal Ultra Instinct. Court State represents perfect balance between all forces, the center around which the new council will form. The implications settled over the gathering like a physical weight. What had seemed a stray forward battle against a new enemy was revealing itself as something far more complex, a fundamental restructuring of cosmic governance itself. So we need to find 3 more representatives, Piccolo summarized pragmatically. For void, form, and consciousness. They will find us, Nyx replied with absolute certainty. The awakening of the Silver Guardian has sent ripples across all realities. Those with the necessary cosmic resonance will be drawn here, some willingly, others perhaps less so. As if on cue, a mechanical whine cut through the air, accompanied by localized distortion of Spock. Time that made Whis raise an eyebrow in genuine surprise. Interesting technique, the angel murmured. Quite sophisticated for mortal technology. The distortion stabilized into what appeared to be a portal, but unlike any energy or magical gateway they'd encountered before. This one seemed mechanical in nature, its edges defined by interlocking geometric patterns that rotated in complex configurations. Through it stepped a humanoid figure encased in sleek armor that seemed to absorb and redirect light in ways that confused the eye. The figure reached up and removed its helmet, revealing A.W. Oman with copper gold skin and close-cropped silver hair. Her eyes, entirely silver with no visible pupil or iris, scanned the gathering with rapid precision, complex data patterns reflecting in their metallic depths. Fascinating, she declared, her voice carrying a subtle electronic undertone. The energy readings are consistent with theoretical models, but the practical manifestation exceeds predicted parameters by 327%. Without waiting for response, she activated something on her wrist-mounted device. A holographic array of instruments emerged, scanning Goku from multiple angles simultaneously. The subject's quantum resonance pattern indicates complete harmonization between contradictory states, divine power with mortal limitation, perfect action with individual will, absolute knowledge with capacity for growth. Her silver eyes widened in what might have been excitement. Hypothesis. You represent a previously theoretical state of evolutionary transcendence. And you are? Bulma asked, scientific curiosity overcoming initial wariness. The woman blinked, as though just noticing the others present. Social protocols. Yes, she straightened formally. I am Kira, Quantum Anther. Apologist and dimensional engineer from the techno-organic collective of Nexus Space. Nexus Space? Gohan questioned, scholarly interest piqued. A pocket dimension existing in the technological singularity point between universes. Kira explained rapidly. We study energy phenomena across realities, particularly those with evolutionary implications. She returned her attention to Goku. Your transformation registered on our sensors as a cosmic-level event. I volunteered to investigate personally. Another one, Vegeta muttered. How many more mysterious women from other dimensions should we expect? 2 more. Nyx replied matter-of-factly. The representative of form and the representative of consciousness. She studied Kira with her star-bright eyes. Though I hadn't expected the Void representative to manifest as a technological entity. Evolution is full of surprises. Kira's silver eyes widened. Void representative. My quantum signature is associated with void energy. Not void as in emptiness, Nyx clarified. Void as in potential, the state from which all things emerge. Your technology harnesses this principle, does it not? Creating something from theoretical possibility. Understanding dawned in Kira's metallic gaze. The quantum probability manipulation matrices. Yes, our entire civilization is built on technology that transforms possibility into reality. She blinked rapidly, processing. This has significant implications for my research parameters. Goku, who had been silent throughout this exchange, finally spoke. You're not just here to study, Kira. You're here because your people are in danger too. The Void Collective threatens all realities, even pocket dimensions like yours. Kira's expression shifted from scientific detachment to genuine concern. Our monitoring stations have detected anomalous energy drains at the boundaries of our dimension. The leading hypothesis suggested natural entropy increase, but if an active consumption process is occurring. She straightened. Decision made. I will need to collect extensive data on this threat. For purely scientific purposes, of course. Of course, Bulma replied with a knowing smile. She recognized a fellow scientist using research as a shield against emotional involvement. Before the conversation could continue, a new disruption demanded their attention, not an arrival, but a distress signal from Earth below. Multiple power levels were rapidly declining in West City, accompanied by atmospheric disturbances consistent with battle. Another incursion, Lyra identified grimly. The scouts are testing our defenses. Goku's silver eyes narrowed slightly. Then let's show them what they're facing. He turned to the gathering. Chi-Chi, Bulma, stay here with the boys where it's safe. Everyone else who can fight, with me. Without waiting for acknowledgement, he placed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, taking Vegeta, Piccolo, Gohan, Lyra, Nyx and Kira with him through instant transmission. They materialized in the heart of West City to find chaos. 3 void rifts had opened along the main thoroughfare, each disgorging what appeared to be semi-solid manifestations of darkness. Unlike the scout they'd encountered earlier, these entities had taken more defined forms, vaguely humanoid but with too many limbs, their bodies constantly shifting between solid and vaporous states. Most disturbing was their method of attack. Rather than destroying infrastructure or attacking people directly, they were feeding. Each entity had captured several humans, holding them in tender ILS of darkness that seemed to be extracting something luminous from their bodies. Life energy, Piccolo identified grimly. They're consuming the human's life force. Preliminary data suggests a quantum-level consumption process. Kira added, her armor already deploying multiple scanning arrays. They're not just taking energy, they're unmaking the victim's very existence. Goku assessed the situation with his enhanced perception. The void entities weren't just random scouts. They were positioned strategically across the city, creating a triangular formation that, if completed, would establish a stable foothold for something larger to emerge. Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, each of you take one entity and prevent them from completing their feeding cycle, he commanded with calm authority. Lyra, support Vegeta. Kira, your technology might disrupt their coherence. Work with Gohan. Nyx and I will address the underlying dimensional breach. Without question or hesitation, they moved to follow his instructions, even Vegeta, who would normally bristle at taking orders from his rival. Something in Goku's transformed presence simply made compliance feel like the natural course of action. Vegeta and Lyra engaged the first void entity. Their contrasting styles immediately evident. Vegeta attacked with characteristic ferocity, transforming instantly to Super Saiyan Blue and launching a barrage of energy blasts that would have vaporized any conventional opponent. The void entity absorbed the attacks, growing slightly more substantial with each blast it consumed. Energy attacks strengthened them, Lyra called out, her battle experience with these creatures evident. Instead of direct ki blasts, she generated what appeared to be complex geometric patterns of energy around her hands, forms that rotated and shifted in three-dimensional space. Saiyan of Universe 7, she addressed Vegeta formally, these entities exist partially outside conventional physics. They must be forced fully into this reality before they can be damaged. To demonstrate, she thrust her palm forward, projecting one of her geometric energy constructs directly into the void entity. Where the pattern made contact, the darkness solidified, becoming vulnerable to physical attack. Vegeta, ever the adaptable warrior, immediately understood. Keep doing that, he growled, shifting to physical combat where Lyra created openings. Across the street, Gohan and Kira were developing their own synchronized approach. Gohan's ultimate form provided tremendous raw power, but like his father, he quickly discovered energy attacks were counterproductive. Kira's technology, however, proved remarkably effective. Their quantum structure is inherently unstable in this reality, she explained, fingers dancing across holographic controls on her wrist device. We can exploit that inconsistency. Her armor reconfigured, extending what appeared to be targeted disruption beams that, where they struck the void entity, caused its form to stutter and temporarily solidify. Gohan, with his scholarly mind, immediately grasped the principle and began timing his physical strikes to coincide with these disruptions. Piccolo, fighting alone against the third entity, adapted his approach based on observations of his allies. Rather than energy attacks, he extended his limbs to physically grapple with the creature, forcing it to materialize more fully in order to maintain its grip on its victims. In the center of this chaos, Goku and Nyx stood back to back, their cosmic energies intermingling in patterns invisible to normal perception. The scouts are merely symptoms, Nyx stated, her star-bright eyes focused on points between realities. The real incursion is still forming. I see it, Goku replied, his silver gaze perceiving the dimensional weaknesses forming throughout the city. They're creating a lattice structure, foundation points for a larger breach. Yes, your friends cannot defeat these manifestations conventionally. Even if destroyed, they'll simply reform as long as the underlying breach remains active. Then we address the source, Goku decided. Together, they raised their hands. Goku's enveloped in silver light, Nyx's in star-flecked darkness. Their energies extended not toward the visible enemies but toward the spaces between them, targeting tiers in reality that existed beyond normal perception. Their combined power touched these dimensional wounds, reality itself seemed to reassert its integrity. The rifts began to close, their edges knitting together like healing skin. The void entities sensed the threat to their entry points and abandoned their individual battles, converging on Goku and Nyx with desperate intensity. Vegeta, Lyra, Gohan, Kira, and Piccolo pursued, continuing to attack from all directions. Silver 1. The entities projected in their disruption voice. You cannot prevent inevitability. Reality returns to void. Not today, Goku replied simply. With a final surge of their combined power, Goku and Nyx sealed the dimensional breaches completely. The void entities, cut off from their source, began to dissolve, not destroyed but simply unable to maintain coherence. In this reality without the breach sustaining them, as the last traces of darkness dissipated, silence fell over the street. The humans who had been captured lay unconscious but alive, their stolen IFE energy partially returned when the entities dissolved. That was merely a probing attack, Nyx observed, her cosmic filament hair moving in agitated patterns. Testing our response capabilities. And our weaknesses, Goku agreed. They're learning. Vegeta approached, powering down from his blue form. We can't defend every city on Earth if they launch multiple simultaneous incursions. We won't have to, Goku replied. His silver eyes traced patterns in reality invisible to the others. They're building towards something specific, a full breach point. These attacks are just preparation. My calculations support that assessment. Kira added, her armor still collecting data from the aftermath. The geometric arrangement of these incursion points suggests they're establishing a resonance pattern to weaken dimensional barriers at a specific location. The question is where, Piccolo growled. Lyra stepped forward, her expression grim. It will be wherever the barrier between your universe and mine is thinnest. With our keystone gone, Universe 21 is their primary target. They'll create a breach between our realities first, then use that established foothold to spread further. How do we find this thin point? Gohan asked. Before anyone could respond, a new presence materialized several meters away, a swirling vortex of energy that, unlike the void entities, radiated controlled power. From this portal emerged a female figure that instantly commanded attention. Tall and powerfully built, with skin the color of burnished gold and hair like liquid silver, she wore what appeared to be formal attire reminiscent of a god of destruction, but modified, softened, as though deliberately distanced from its original purpose. Geometric patterns were tattooed or perhaps embedded in her golden skin, glowing faintly with suppressed power. Most striking were her eyes, purple irises surrounded by black sclera, holding the unmistakable depth of divine perception. The convergence point W. "It'll be where I landed when I fled my appointment," she stated without preamble, her voice carrying both imperial authority and something deeper, a resonant power similar to Beerus's but fundamentally different in quality. "The barriers between universes are already weakened there. And you are?" Vegeta demanded, though his tone suggested he already suspected the answer. The newcomer's gaze swept over him dismissively before settling on Goku. When their eyes met, silver reflecting in purple-black, something like recognition passed between them. "I am Zara," she announced formally. "Former apprentice to Arisk, god of destruction of Universe 11. Her expression hardened. "I abandoned my training before ascension. The destroyer's path was not mine to walk. A god of destruction can't simply abandon their appointment," Piccolo stated flatly. "The cosmic balance has already disrupted," Zara finished for him. "My departure created a momentary imbalance, yes. But the emergence of the Silver Guardian," she nodded toward Goku, "represents a greater disruption that paradoxically restores possibility of a new balance." Nyx studied Zara with her star-bright eyes. "Form," she stated simply. You represent form, the principle of structure and boundary that gives shape to reality." "I represented destruction once," Zara acknowledged. "Now I seek to represent definition instead, the boundaries had make existence meaningful rather than the erasure that ends it." Goku stepped forward, his silver aura rippling subtly as he approached Zara. "You've been running for a long time. Not just from your appointment, but from yourself." Zara's expression remained composed, but something flickered in her divine eyes, surprised that he could perceive what she had told no one. "Yes, but running ends today. The Void Collective threatens all realities, including the possibility of redemption I've sought." 4 representatives gathered, Lyra observed, looking between Nyx, Kira, Zara, and herself. "We need only the embodiment of consciousness to complete the council. She'll find us at the convergence point," Goku stated with certainty, his enhanced perception already identifying patterns beyond the other's awareness. "All paths are leading there. Then what are we waiting for?" Vegeta demanded impatiently. "Let's find this convergence point and prepare for whatever's coming." Zara turned toward the east. "I can lead you there. It's several hundred miles from here, a remote valley where the dimensional barrier's naturally thin." "That won't be necessary," Goku replied, placing 2 fingers to his forehead. "I can sense the disruption now that I know what to look for. Everyone, stay close." As they gathered around him, Kira's scientific curiosity overrode social protocol. "Fascinating. Executing a quantum displacement technique without technological assistance. The energy requirements alone should be." Her analysis was cut short as Goku's instant transmission activated, Transpo. RTING the entire group across hundreds of miles in an instant. They materialized at the edge of a sprawling valley nestled between jagged mountain peaks. At first glance, the location appeared unremarkable, just another remote wilderness untouched by human development. But to those with enhanced perception, the abnormalities were immediately apparent. The air shimmered with subtle distortions, like heat waves rising from sun-baked asphalt, but moving in geometric patterns rather than random fluctuations. Plants grew in unnatural configurations, twisted into spiral formations that seemed to echo larger cosmic patterns. Most telling was the complete absence of wildlife. No birds circled overhead, no insects buzzed among the flowers, no small mammals darted through the underbrush. "The convergence point," Zara confirmed, her divine senses clearly detecting what the others perceived less precisely. "When I fled Universe 11, the dimensional barriers thinned enough to allow passage. That weakness never fully healed. And now the Void Collective is exploiting it," Piccolo observed grimly. Goku walked forward slowly, his silver eyes tracking distortions invisible to normal perception. With each step, the subtle aura surrounding him interacted with the dimensional abnormalities, strengthening reality where he passed, like a needle pulling thread through torn fabric. The boundary between Universe 7 and Universe 21 is particularly weak here, he observed, stopping at what appeared to be the center of the valley. I can almost see through to the other side. Lyra approached cautiously, her own energy resonating with the distorted space. My world lies just beyond this veil. Once vibrant, now dying without its keystone. How long does your universe have? Gohan asked, his scholarly mind grasping the practical implications. Days, perhaps, Lyra replied grimly. The fundamental forces have been unraveling since the keystone was shattered. What you call physics has become negotiable in many regions. Kira had deployed her full array of scanning equipment, her silver eyes reflecting complex data patterns as she circled the convergence zone. Fascinating. The quantum flux patterns indicate imminent boundary collapse. According to these readings, a full breach could occur within 17.3 hours. Less than a day, Vegeta translated, arms crossed. And then what? Then the Void D Collective establishes its first stable foothold in this cosmic cycle, Nyx explained, her star-bright eyes tracking patterns beyond mortal perception. From there, they will spread exponentially, consuming reality itself and returning it to primordial void. That cannot be allowed, Zara stated with divine finality. If necessary, I can execute a localized destruction event to collapse this convergence point. Destroying the symptom without addressing the cause, Goku countered, his voice calm yet authoritative. It would only delay the inevitable while sacrificing Universe 21 entirely. Lyra's expression hardened. My universe is already dying, Silver Guardian. If its sacrifice would save others. No one's universe gets sacrificed, Goku interrupted with quiet certainty. That's not why I was given this power. That's not why we've been brought together. He turned to face the gathered warriors, his silver eyes reflecting nothing yet somehow conveying absolute conviction. The Goku they had known, battle-hungry, sometimes naive, always straightforward, was still present in his bearing and determination. But now that familiar spirit was wedded to cosmic awareness and perception that transcended normal limits. The original Keystone Council didn't just defend reality, they maintained it, balanced it, allowed it to evolve. That's what we need to recreate. With only 4 of 5 representatives, Piccolo pointed out pragmatically. 5 of 6, corrected a new voice, melodic, carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate directly with consciousness itself. They turned as one find a figure approaching from the far side of the valley, a woman of indeterminate age, with skin like polished amber and eyes of shifting gold. She wore flowing robes of white and crimson that moved according to patterns unrelated to the physical wind. Most striking was her bearing, perfect poise that somehow conveyed both absolute serenity and barely contained passion simultaneously. The Silver Guardian, she greeted Goku with a formal bow that somehow managed to convey respect without subservience. I am Mira, last guardian of the spiral path from Universe 2. Universe 2? Gohan questioned. But we've encountered Universe 2 before, during the Tournament of Power. They were different. Mira smiled, a gesture that transformed her already striking features into something almost luminous. What you encountered was the public face of our universe, the aspects deemed appropriate for cosmic competition. The spiral path remains hidden, as it has since the formation of the current multiverse structure. Her golden eyes turned to Goku, studying him with evident appreciation. You have achieved what our traditions prophesied, perfect unity of technique and practitioner. The ultimate expression of martial arts philosophy. You represent consciousness, Nyx identified, her star-bright eyes assessing the newcomer. The principle of awareness that gives meaning to existence. Among other things, Mira acknowledged with a slight inclination of her head. The spiral path teaches that consciousness is not merely awareness, but the fundamental force that shapes reality through perception and intention. Goku studied her with his enhanced perception. Unlike the others, whose cosmic associations manifested in obvious energy patterns, Mira's connection to her fundamental principle was subtler, present not in spectacular power but in the perfect integration of her being, the absolute harmony between thought and action, intention and result. You're a martial artist, he observed with genuine respect. As are you. Silver Guardian, she replied. Though we express the art through different traditions. The council is complete then, Lyra stated, looking between the gathered representatives. Energy, continuity, void, form, consciousness, and balance at the center. Her gaze settled on Goku. Not quite complete, Nyx corrected. Awakened, yes. Gathered, yes. But not yet unified in purpose and function. The original Keystone Council maintained reality through perfect synchronization of their fundamental principles. She's right, Zara added, her divine perception clearly sensing the disconnection. We're 6 individuals with conceptual associations to cosmic forces. The original council was a single functioning entity composed of 6 aspects. So how do we synchronize? Gohan asked, scientific curiosity evident. Before anyone could respond, the dimensional distortions throughout the valley intensified dramatically. The air itself seemed to tear in multiple locations simultaneously. Darkness bleeding through like ink through paper. They're coming, Goku stated, his silver eyes narrowing. They sensed our gathering and they're accelerating their timetable. The Void Collective wishes to prevent our unification, Mira observed with preternatural calm. They fear what we might become together. Vegeta powered up to blue instantly, battle ready as always. Let them come. We'll show them what Saiyans are capable of. Not alone, Piccolo cautioned, taking a defensive stance. Remember the scouts in West City, energy attacks only strengthen them. Indeed, Kira confirmed, her armor reconfiguring for combat. Conventional attacks are counterproductive against quantum phase entities. We require a coordinated approach that addresses their fundamental nature. The tears in reality widened. Darkness pooling beneath them like oil slicks that defied gravity. From these dimensional wounds emerged entities far more substantial than the scouts they'd encountered previously. These manifestations stood nearly 3 meters tall, their forms more defined yet still shifting between states. Vaguely humanoid but with too many limbs, too many eyes, features seemed to rearrange themselves continuously. Keystone fragments, their disruption voice projected, somehow simultaneously from all directions. Your gathering comes too late. Consumption proceeds. I count 12 major manifestations. Gohan reported, his tactical mind assessing the situation. Plus numerous smaller entities emerging. They're establishing a containment perimeter, Zara observed. Her divine perception identifying the strategic pattern. Trapping us here while they complete the main breach. Goku's enhanced awareness extended beyond the immediate threat, perceiving the RGER dimensional distortion forming at the center of the valley. This wasn't just another incursion point. It was the primary breach, large enough to allow direct access between Universe 7, Universe 21, and the void space between realities where the collective existed in its true form. We need to work together, he stated with calm authority. Not just fighting side by side, but truly unified. The Keystone Council didn't maintain reality through individual powers, but through synchronized application of fundamental principles. A theoretical unity is insufficient against immediate threat, Zara countered. Divine destruction energy already gathering around her hands. We must engage the enemy directly. Both approaches have merit, Mira interjected, her serene voice somehow cutting through the tension. Physical defense buys time for deeper unification. Agreed, Goku decided. Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, create a defensive perimeter with our council members. Buy us time to establish true synchronization. And how exactly do you plan to achieve this synchronization? Vegeta demanded, even as he moved to comply with the tactical directive. The same way I achieved Ultra Instinct, Goku replied. By letting go of trying. As the void entities advanced from all directions, the defenders organized with practiced efficiency. Vegeta and Lyra took the Eastern approach, her energy pattern techniques creating vulnerabilities that his physical attacks could exploit. Gohan and Kira covered the West, her technology providing the disruption effects that made his ultimate form strikes effective. Piccolo and Zara defended the North, his strategic adaptability complementing her controlled destruction techniques perfectly. At the center, Goku stood with Nyx and Mira, the 3 forming a triangle around the point where the dimensional distortion was most intense. Their energies, silver, star-flecked black, and golden, began to intermingle in complex patterns. The process requires complete surrender of individual identity. Nyx explained, her cosmic filament hair extending to connect with the other's auras. Not its loss, but its expansion to include the other aspects. Perfect harmony without loss of self, Mira added, her golden eyes beginning to illuminate from within. The ultimate expression of martial arts philosophy, becoming one with everything while remaining uniquely yourself. Goku closed his silver eyes. His expression perfectly serene, like Ultra Instinct, but beyond. Around them, the battle intensified. The void entities, recognizing the threat the potential unification represented, redoubled their efforts to break through the defensive perimeter. Unlike the scouts in West City, these manifestations employed actual strategy, coordinating attacks, feinting to create openings. Focusing on perceived weaknesses. They're intelligent, Piccolo called out, extending his arms to grapple with a particularly aggressive entity. Learning and adapting as we fight. Of course they are, Zara replied. Her divine destruction energy carefully controlled to affect only the fully materialized portions of the entities. The Void Collective exists as a unified consciousness. Each manifestation is merely an extension of the whole. On the Eastern Front, Vegeta found himself grudgingly impressed by Lyra's combat capabilities. Despite being Saiyan, her fighting style was utterly unlike anything from Universe 7, focusing on precision and energy manipulation rather than raw power. Her geometric key constructs created vulnerabilities in the void entities that his physical strikes could exploit with devastating effectiveness. Your Universe 21 Saiyans fight strangely, he commented during a momentary lull. Where's your pride in raw strength? Lyra executed a complex pattern of energy manipulation that temporarily solidified three approaching entities, allowing Vegeta to dispatch them with precisely targeted strikes. We evolved beyond simplistic pride centuries ago, she replied coolly. Effectiveness is what matters, not adherence to tradition for tradition's sake. Despite himself, Vegeta found her pragmatic approach intriguing. A different path of Saiyan evolution, focused on adaptation rather than domination. On the western perimeter, Gohan and Kira had established a remarkably efficient system. Her technological scanning continuously identified the entities' phase shift patterns, predicting where and when they would solidify enough for effective attack. Gohan, with his scholarly mind, quickly adapted to these predictions, positioning himself to strike at precisely the right moments. Your combat efficiency exceeds my predictive models by 43%, Kira noted with what might have been admiration. The integration of intellect and instinct in your fighting style is most impressive. Thanks, Gohan replied, landing a devastating kick that dispersed a void entity temporarily. Your tech is amazing too. The predictive algorithms must be incredibly complex. Indeed, perhaps when cosmic existence isn't threatened, I could explain the quantum principles involved. Her silver eyes reflected something almost like humor. It would make an interesting research paper. Cross-dimensional combat applications of quantum probability manipulation. Despite the dire circumstances, Gohan found himself smiling at the scientific enthusiasm so similar to his own. At the center of the valley, the synchronization attempt was progressing, but not quickly enough. Goku, Nyx, and Mira had established a preliminary energy connection, their auras mingling and resonating in increasingly complex patterns. But true unification remained elusive. Something's missing, Goku observed, his silver eyes opening. We need all 6 aspects present. The others are occupied with defense. Mira pointed out, her serenity unshaken despite the chaos surrounding them. Not just that, Nyx added, her cosmic perception identifying the deeper issue. True unification requires complete acceptance of purpose. Some among us still harbor doubts about their role. Goku's enhanced awareness extended outward, perceiving not just the physical battle but the emotional and spiritual state of each potential council member. He could sense Lyra's lingering grief for her dying universe, Kira's scientific detachment masking deeper emotional connection, Zara's conflict between destruction and preservation. Even Nyx and Mira, for all their apparent acceptance, maintained certain reserves, boundaries of self they were unwilling to surrender. And within himself, he recognized his own limitation, the fear that in fully embracing his role as living keystone, he might lose connection to the things that made him Goku, his love for his family, his enjoyment of simple pleasures, his essential humanity. We're fighting this wrong, he realized suddenly. Not just physically, but conceptually. Before he could elaborate, a massive surge of void energy erupted from the center of the distortion. The dimensional tear widened dramatically, darkness pouring through like a negative flood. The void manifestations fighting around the perimeter suddenly withdrew, retreating toward this central breach. They're consolidating, Zara identified, her divine perception recognizing the strategy. Preparing for a unified manifestation. The Overseer comes, Nyx confirmed grimly. The coordinating consciousness of this particular void collective. The darkness pooling at the center of the valley began to coalesce, rising and taking form. Unlike the smaller entities, this manifestation achieved immediate cohesion, a towering humanoid figure composed of darkness so absolute it seemed to devour light itself. Standing nearly 10 meters tall, its features were disturbingly precise, a perfect negative image of divine form, beautiful and terrible simultaneously. When it spoke, the disruption voice carried harmonics that resonated with reality itself. Keystone fragments. You stand before the inevitable. Reality returns to void. This is not destruction but completion of the cycle. Not while we stand against you, Vegeta declared, powering up to his maximum blue evolution state. The Overseer's featureless face turned toward him, somehow conveying amusement without expression. You misunderstand your own nature, Prince of Few. All existence emerges from void and returns to it. We merely accelerate what is inevitable. Nothing is inevitable, Goku countered, stepping forward. His silver aura intensified, not flaring outward but somehow becoming more defined, more real than reality itself. Existence isn't a closed cycle. It's constant creation, constant choice. The Overseer's attention shifted to Goku, its entire form seeming to focus with predatory intensity. The silver anomaly. You perceive much, yet understand little. Your awakening merely hastens completion. The energy released by your transformation weakened reality's boundaries. Understanding dawned across Goku's features. That's why the incursions accelerated after I achieved Eternal Ultra Instinct. My transformation created the very openings you're exploiting. And in that understanding lies the seed of your failure. The Overseer continued. What you have broken cannot be mended. What you have awakened cannot be contained. The entity raised its arms, and reality itself seemed to warp around it. The dimensional tear widened further, revealing glimpses of a dying universe beyond. Lyra's Universe 21, its fundamental laws already unraveling, stars collapsing in impossible patterns, very fabric of space-time dissolving into chaos. Witness the future of all realities, the Overseer declared. Consumption proceeds according to pattern. As the portal expanded, tendrils of void energy extended through, latching onto the visible portions of Universe 21 and actively drawing their essence into our reality. It wasn't just energy being transferred, it was existence itself, the fundamental properties of an entire universe being consumed. Lyra fell to her knees, a cry of genuine anguish escaping her composed exterior. My world, I can see it dying. The emotional impact of witness. Seeing her universe's consumption cracked her warrior's facade completely. Grief, rage, and helplessness poured from her in waves of erratic energy that disrupted the dimensional stability further. And in that moment, Goku understood. It's not about fighting the void, he said, his voice cutting through the chaos with perfect clarity. It's about embracing our fundamental natures completely, including the parts we've been resisting. He turned to the gathered warriors, his silver eyes reflecting absolute certainty. The original Keystone Council didn't maintain reality by opposing chaos, they did it by embodying their principles so completely that reality naturally organized around them. What are you suggesting? Piccolo demanded. Practical as always even in crisis. Stop fighting, Goku replied simply. Start being. Before anyone could question this seemingly suicidal directive, he demonstrated, stepping directly toward the Overseer, his silver aura neither flaring in aggression nor contracting in defense, but simply existing in perfect equilibrium. I am balance, he stated, not as declaration but as simple truth. Not a fighter who achieved balance, not a Saiyan who transcended limits, simply balance itself. Conscious and choosing. As he spoke, something shifted in his silver aura, a qualitative change beyond mere intensity. It became less an energy surrounding him and more an expression of his fundamental nature. Reality itself responding to his self-definition. Understanding dawned across Nyx's features first. She stepped forward to stand beside Goku, her cosmic filament, hair extending to connect with his silver aura. I am continuity, she stated with similar simplicity. The principle that maintains coherence across boundaries, that ensures past flows into future. That connects all points in the cosmic web. Her star-flecked darkness intertwined with Goku's silver light, the two energies not merely mixing but enhancing each other, becoming more fully themselves through connection. Mira joined them next, her golden eyes illuminated from within. I am consciousness, awareness that gives meaning to existence, perception that transforms possibility into experience. With each declaration, the synergy between them intensified. Their auras merged not by surrendering individuality but by expressing it more completely, each principle strengthened by alignment with the others. Zara watched this transformation with divine perception, understanding flooding her conflicted mind. With sudden clarity, she abandoned her defensive stance and stepped into the growing synergy. I am form, she declared, her divine energy shifting from destruction to definition. The principle that establishes boundaries, that gives shape to potential, that transforms infinite possibility into defined actuality. Kira hesitated only briefly, her analytical mind rapidly processing the paradigm shift before her. Then, with decision made, she deactivated her combat systems and joined the gathering synergy. I am void, she stated, surprise evident in her voice as she embraced the principle she had only just discovered within herself. Not emptiness, but potential, the state from which all things emerge. The space that allows movement, the question that precedes answer. Only Lyra remained apart, still overwhelmed by the visible destruction of her universe through the expanding portal. Goku extended his perception toward her, his silver eyes reflecting compassion without pity. Your grief is part of your power, he said gently. Not something to overcome, but to transform. The love for what is being lost, that's the essence of energy itself. The will that drives creation. Tears streamed down Lyra's face as she looked from the dying glimpses of her universe to Goku's extended hand. How can I embrace being energy when all I've fought to protect is being consumed? Because energy cannot be destroyed, he replied with simple wisdom. It can only be transformed. Your universe isn't ending, it's changing state. And you can guide that transformation. Understanding dawned across her features. With newfound resolve, she rose to her feet and stepped into the circle, completing the formation. I am energy, she declared, her grief transforming into fierce determination. The principle that drives creation, that prevents stagnation, that transforms potential into actuality through will and intention. As the final aspect joined the synergy, something profound shifted in the fabric of reality itself. The 6 individuals remained distinct in form, but their energy unified into a single coherent pattern, a living mandala of cosmic principles in perfect balance and expression. The overseer's consumption process faltered as reality itself responded to this new pattern. Dimensional laws reasserting themselves around the stabilizing influence of the awakened Keystone Council. Impossible, the entity projected, genuine alarm entering its disruption voice. The cycle cannot be interrupted. Reality returns to void. Reality emerges from void, Goku corrected, his voice now carrying harmonics that matched the entity's own. And returns to it only to emerge again, transformed, renewed, evolved. That's the true cycle you've forgotten. As one being with 6 aspects, the Keystone Council extended their unified consciousness toward the dimensional breach. Why didn't attack the void entities or try to force the portal closed through power. Instead, they simply established a new pattern, a template of balanced cosmic principles that reality naturally organized itself around. The breach began to stabilize, not closing entirely, but transforming from chaotic tear to structured gateway. The glimpses of Universe 21 beyond shifted from dissolution to reorganization. Fundamental laws reasserting themselves in new patterns. What's happening? Vegeta demanded, witnessing effects beyond his perception's ability to fully comprehend. They're not fighting chaos, Gohan realized, his scholarly mind grasping the concept. They're establishing order by embodying it. Like a crystallization seed in a supersaturated solution. The Overseer's massive form began to lose coherence, unable to maintain stability in the presence of the unified council. This changes nothing. Delay is not prevention. We will return. Of course you will, Goku acknowledged. his silver eyes reflecting neither victory nor defeat but simple understanding. You're part of existence too, the possibility of dissolution that makes creation meaningful. But not as consumer, as transformer. With these words, reality completed its reorganization around the Council's pattern. The breach stabilized fully into a structured gateway between Universe 7 and Universe 21, no longer a wound but a regulated connection. The void entities, including the Overseer, dissipated, not destroyed but returned to their natural state beyond the boundaries of defined reality. As the immediate threat passed, the unified consciousness of the Council gently separated back into 6 distinct individuals, though connections remained between them, filaments of shared awareness that hadn't existed before. "We did it," Lyra whispered, staring in wonder at the stabilized gateway. Through it, she could see her universe, not dying but transforming, reorganizing itself around new patterns. "It's not being consumed anymore. It's being reborn," Nyx corrected gently. "The Keystone Council doesn't prevent change, it guides it, ensures it happens in balance rather than chaos." Goku looked between his new companions, seeing them with his enhanced perception not just as individuals but as expressions of fundamental cosmic principles. And they, in turn, saw him as more than just a Saiyan who had achieved an impressive transformation. They recognized him as the living embodiment of balance itself, the nexus around which a new cosmic order could form. "This was just the beginning," he said, his silver eyes reflecting both certainty and concern. "The Void Collective has been pushed back, but not defeated. There are other incursion points forming across the multiverse, places where reality is already unraveling. And we have to address them all," Zara concluded, her divine perception already sensing distant disturbances. As the Keystone Council, Mira added, serenity unshaken despite the enormity of the task ahead. "Fascinating," Kira murmured, her silver eyes reflecting complex calculations. "The quantum implications of maintaining multiversal stability through conscious embodiment of fundamental principles. The research opportunities are endless." Despite everything, Goku found himself smiling, the expression both familiar and somehow new on his transformed features. "One reality at a time," he said, his voice carrying that essential Goku quality of determined optimism that even eternal Ultra Instinct couldn't change. Starting with Universe 21, Vegeta approached, arms crossed in his characteristic pose. "And what about us?" He gestured to include himself, Piccolo, and Gohan. "While you're off playing Cosmic Guardian with your new council, what happens to Earth? To our universe?" The question held layers of meaning, not just practical concern, but something deeper. What about their friendship, their rivalry, their shared history? What about Goku's family and connections here? Goku turned to his oldest rival, his silver eyes softening. "I'm still me, Vegeta. This is just a bigger responsibility than we've faced before. But Earth is still my home. You're still my friend, maybe my best friend. Though I know you'd never admit it." Something like reluctant acknowledgement flickered across Vegeta's features. "You still owe me a rematch, Kakarot. Don't think this fancy new form means you can avoid it forever." "Wouldn't dream of it," Goku replied with genuine warmth. As the conversation continued, plans forming for addressing both immediate concerns and long-term cosmic stability. A silent observer watched from the edge of perception, a small blue-skinned figure with white hair and a perpetual pleasant smile. The Grand Priest observed the newly formed Keystone Council with careful attention, noting the patterns of energy and consciousness forming between them. This development, while unexpected in its specific manifestation, aligned with possibilities foreseen by certain ancient prophecies. "Interesting," he murmured to himself. "Most interesting indeed." With a subtle tap of his staff, he vanished, returning to inform Lord Zeno of developments that might, in time, reshape the very structure of cosmic governance itself. The game of divine chess had entered a new phase. And Son Goku, as always, had proven himself an unpredictable piece on the cosmic board. Chapter 3. Beyond Instinct. Auroras of impossible color rippled across the sky of Universe 21. Where once stars had followed predictable orbits, celestial bodies now danced in geometric patterns that defied conventional physics. Mountains floated untethered to any ground, oceans flowed upward in gravity-defying spirals, and time itself pulsed with irregular rhythm, sometimes flowing normally, other moments stretching or compressing as fundamental constants recalibrated themselves. In the heart of this magnificent chaos stood 6 figures, arranged in a perfect hexagon. At the center, Goku, his Elver white hair and mercury eyes reflecting the surrounding disorder without participating in it. Around him, the other 5 members of the newly formed Keystone Council maintained their positions, radiating their distinctive energy signature as they worked to stabilize an entire universe in flux. Lyra, representing energy, had tears streaming down her face, though her expression remained determined. This was her home, her reality, transforming before her eyes into something new and unknown. Not destroyed, as she had feared, but reborn in patterns that honored its original nature while embracing necessary evolution. The foundational constants are stabilizing, Kira reported, her silver eyes reflecting complex data patterns as her technological implants analyzed the surrounding reality. Quantum cohesion increasing by approximately 7.3% every 90 seconds. If this trend continues, basic physical laws should reassert consistent function within 18 hours. Faster than anticipated, Nyx observed, her cosmic filament hair extending outward to interact directly with the fabric of reality. The universe remembers its proper patterns. We merely remind it. Zara's divine perception tracked larger cosmic implications. The barriers between realities are reforming around this structured gateway. The Void Collective cannot exploit random tiers while we maintain this configuration. But they're still watching, Mira added, her golden eyes perceiving beyond physical limitations to the consciousness currents underlying reality itself. Waiting, learning. At the center, Goku maintained perfect stillness, not rigid, but utterly present. His eternal ultra instinct state had evolved further through synchronization with the Council. The silver aura no longer manifested as visible energy, instead, reality itself seemed to align around him, cosmic principles finding natural balance in his presence. They'll try again, he stated simply. This was just their first serious attempt. For 3 days, the Keystone Council had worked continuously to stabilize Universe 21 after repelling the Void Collective's incursion. What had begun as crisis intervention had evolved into methodical reconstruction, re-establishing cosmic constants, reinforcing dimensional boundaries, guiding chaotic transformation into orderly evolution. And through it all, Goku had remained the unwavering center, the living embodiment of balance around which everything else organized itself. The primary population centers have been secured, Lyra reported, momentarily setting aside her emotional response to focus on practical matters. Casualties were significant, but far less than anticipated. Millions survived who would have perished without our intervention. Your people are remarkably adaptable, Mira observed with genuine admiration. They've already begun establishing new communities based on the altered physical constants. A hint of pride broke through Lyra's grief. Universe 21 sigh. Yams evolved beyond mere survival instinct generations ago. Adaptation became our defining characteristic after the fall of our original homeworld. Goku opened his silver eyes, gently disengaging from the deep meditative state that had allowed him to perceive and influence cosmic patterns directly. We've done what we can here. This universe will continue healing itself now that proper foundations are re-established. You sound like it's time to leave, Lyra said, complex emotions playing across her features. My world still needs protection. It needs its guardian, Goku corrected gently. You, Lyra, not us. Understanding dawned across her face. The Council doesn't remain in one reality. We can't, Zara confirmed, her divine authority evident despite her rejection of the Destroyer path. Our prolonged presence in any single universe would create imbalance, too much conscious embodiment of fundamental principles in one localized reality. And there are other incursion points forming, Kira added, her technological sensors detecting disturbances beyond their current location. My calculations identify 17 potential breach locations across the multiverse, with 3 approaching critical instability. So we leave my universe to face whatever comes next alone. Lyra's question held challenge rather than resignation. Goku stepped toward her, his silver eyes reflecting compassion without pity. Not alone. Never alone again. He gestured to the stabilized gateway connecting Universe 21 to Universe 7. This connection remains regulated, protected, but open. Your universe and mine, linked through conscious choice rather than chaotic accident. And you remain connected to the Council even when physically apart, Nyx added, her star-bright eyes tracking the invisible connections that now linked all 6 of them across dimensional boundaries. Distance means little to cosmic principles properly embodied. Lyra studied Goku's transformed features, seeing beyond the silver hair and mercury eyes to the essential nature that made him uniquely himself despite his transcendence. In the 3 days they'd worked together, she'd witnessed both his cosmic awareness and his fundamental humanity, the balance of divine perception and mortal heart that made him the perfect nexus for the Keystone Council. Something shifted in her expression, acceptance, determination, and something deeper. Where do we go next? Silver Guardian, she asked finally. A subtle smile touched Goku's lips, that familiar expression somehow both unchanged and transformed by his eternal Ultra Instinct state. First, I need to return to Earth. There are people waiting for me, people I need to explain things to. The unspoken weight of those connections hung in the air between them. Goku had been absent for 3 days, engaged in cosmic reconstruction beyond normal comprehension. His family, his friends, they deserved more than abrupt disappearance followed by cryptic explanations. Familial obligations, Zara observed, her tone neutral but her divine eyes reflecting surprising understanding. Even cosmic guardians have roots. Especially cosmic guardians, Goku corrected gently. That's what separates us from the abstractions we represent. We remain connected to those we protect, through love, friendship, personal bonds. A fascinatingly recursive psychological architecture, Kira noted. Her analytical mind always seeking patterns. The protector draws strength from connection to the protected, creating a self-reinforcing motivation loop. Despite the clinical terminology, her silver eyes reflected something like wistfulness. The technological civilization she came from prioritized efficiency over emotional attachment, viewing personal connections as potential inefficiencies. Yet she found herself increasingly intrigued by the organic relationships forming among the council members. I'll establish a temporary monitoring station in this dimension, she offered. My tech, HNO-LG can alert us to any significant destabilization while we address other priorities. And I'll remain as well, Lyra decided firmly. This is my universe. Its reconstruction should have its guardian present, even as I maintain connection to the council. Goku nodded, accepting her decision. We'll return when needed, and you'll sense if we require your presence elsewhere. With arrangements made, the council prepared for temporary dispersal, not dissolution, but strategic distribution of their presence across reality's most vulnerable points. The silver-threaded connections between them would remain regardless of physical location, allowing instantaneous communication and transportation when necessary. As they gathered at the stabilized gateway between universes, Mira approached Goku directly. Unlike the others, who maintained some degree of formality despite their growing connections, she moved with the easy confidence of someone comfortable in her own existence. The return to ordinary life after touching cosmic awareness is never simple, she observed, her golden eyes reflecting ancient wisdom. Even with your permanent transformation, the contrast between roles will create tension. Goku met her gaze directly. You've experienced this before. It wasn't a question. His enhanced perception had identified patterns in her energy signature, cycles of transcendence and a turn that had repeated many times throughout her existence. The spiral path requires its adherents to walk between worlds, she acknowledged with a slight smile. To touch the infinite while remaining grounded in the finite. It is both the greatest challenge and the greatest gift of our tradition. Any advice? He asked, a hint of his old straightforwardness breaking through the serene exterior. Her smile deepened, genuine warmth emanating from her golden eyes. Don't try to separate the aspects of yourself, the cosmic guardian from the father, husband, friend. Integration, not compartmentalization, is the path to true balance. Before he could respond, Nyx joined them, her cosmic filament hair moving in patterns that reflected her thoughtful state. We should depart. Prolonged full count. CIL presence in a single location creates patterns that draw unwanted attention. With final arrangements confirmed, they activated the gateway. Reality shifted around them as they transitioned from Universe 21's reconstructing patterns to the familiar constants of Universe 7. The journey took both an instant and eternity from different perceptual frameworks, another paradox that Goku now navigated effortlessly in his transformed state. Earth materialized around them, specifically, the lookout where their journey had begun 3 days earlier. Dende and Mr. Popo rushed forward at their arrival, relief evident in their expressions. "Goku," Dende exclaimed, "you're back. Everyone's been so worried." Before he could finish, multiple energy signatures converged on their location, familiar presences approaching at maximum speed. Goku sensed them long before they became visible. Chi-Chi, Goten, and Gohan from one direction, Vegeta, Bulma, and Trunks from another, the rest of the Z fighters from various points across the globe. "They've been keeping watch," Dende explained unnecessarily. "Taking shifts here on the lookout, waiting for any sign of your return." Something tightened in Goku's chest, an emotion so fundamentally human it contrasted sharply with his cosmic awareness. These connections, these bonds of love and friendship, remained his anchor despite his transformation. Mira caught his eye briefly, a knowing smile touching her lips. "Integration, not compartmentalization," she reminded him softly. The first to arrive were Goten and Chi-Chi, carried by Gohan, who set them down gently before landing himself. Goten immediately launched himself at his father, colliding with Goku's midsection in a tackle hug that would have knocked over any normal person. "Dad, you're back. You were gone for so long and nobody knew where, and Mom was really worried and I was too, but I didn't say it because I wanted to be brave, but you're back now and your hair is still all silver and cool and..." "Breathe, squirt," Gohan interrupted his brother's excited rambling with gentle amusement. Then, to Goku, "Welcome home, Dad." Chi-Chi approached more slowly, her expression complex, relief warring with lingering worry. Joy tempered by uncertainty, she studied her husband's transformed appearance, searching for the man she knew behind the silver hair and mercury eyes. 3 days, she said finally, her voice carefully controlled. "No message, no explanation. Just gone." "I'm sorry, Chi-Chi," Goku replied, genuine regret evident despite his serene exterior. "What we were doing, there wasn't a way to communicate across the dimensional boundaries. Saving another universe," she completed for him, surprising everyone with her matter-of-fact tone. Piccolo explained what he understood. "Before you all disappeared through that portal. Something about cosmic balancing and a void collective." Goku blinked, momentarily caught off guard by her acceptance. "You're not angry." A complex mixture of emotions played across Chi-Chi's features before settling into determined resignation. "I've been married to you for over 20 years, son Goku. I knew who you were when I said yes, a man Ho would never ignore someone who needed help, no matter the personal cost." She stepped forward, reaching up to touch his face gently. "I don't have to like it to understand it. And I don't have to understand everything about what you've become to still love who you are." The simple sincerity of her words touched something fundamental in Goku's being. He gathered her into a careful embrace, mindful of his vastly increased strength even in this passive state. "I'm still me, Chi-Chi," he murmured. "Different, but the same in all the ways that matter." Their moment was interrupted by the arrival of Vegeta, Bulma, and the remaining Z fighters, creating a cacophony of questions, exclamations, and demands for explanation. Through it all, the other council members observed with varying reactions, Nyx with detached interest, Hira with analytical curiosity, Mira with knowing warmth, and Zara with surprising wistfulness. As the initial chaos settled, Piccolo's practical mind turned to immediate concerns. "The entities you fought before disappearing, the Void Collective. Are they defeated? Temporarily repelled?" Goku clarified, shifting smoothly between husband, father and cosmic guardian. "E stabilized Universe 21 and re-established proper dimensional boundaries, but they'll try again. They exist to consume reality, it's their fundamental nature." "And this council you've formed?" Bulma asked, her scientific mind grasping for concrete understanding. Piccolo explained the basic concept, "But I'm still trying to wrap my head around cosmic principles embodied in people." "Not just people," Nyx interjected, her star-bright eyes tracking patterns invisible to normal perception. "Consciousnesses that have evolved specific resonance with fundamental aspects of reality itself. Like Ultra Instinct, but for different cosmic forces," Gohan suggested, his scholarly mind seeking analogies that bridged understanding. Close enough, Goku acknowledged with a slight smile. Together, we create a pattern that reality naturally organizes itself around, like gravity wells guiding the movement of celestial bodies. Vegeta crossed his arms, studying the gathered council members with suspicious scrutiny. And these cosmic representatives just happened to appear exactly when needed. Convenient. Nothing just happens. At cosmic scales, Prince of Few, Nyx replied, using the diminutive title that clearly irritated Vegeta. All is pattern, recursion, inevitability. And yet paradoxically guided by choice, Mira added, her golden eyes reflecting ancient wisdom. The universe operates simultaneously by absolute law and complete freedom, another balance the council represents. Before philosophical debate could derail practical concerns, Goku refocused the conversation. What matters now is that the Keystone Council has reformed. We can address incursions as they occur, guide reality's evolution rather than merely responding to threats. But not all together, all the time, he continued, his silver eyes meeting Chi-Chi's directly. We'll maintain connection across dimensions, but each of us has responsibilities in our own realities. Understanding dawned across his wife's features. Relief mingled with lingering concern. He wasn't abandoning his family for cosmic duty, he was finding balance between responsibilities. So what happens now? Krillin asked, voicing the practical question on everyone's mind. Before Goku could respond, Kira's technological sensors activated with urgent alerts. Her silver eyes widened as she processed the incoming data. Dimensional disturbance detected, she reported. All scientific detachment falling away in the face of immediate threat. Massive breach forming. Not in Universe 21 or here, but between realities. In the dimensional boundary space itself. They're changing tactics, Zara identified immediately, her divine perception extending beyond normal limitations. Rather than attacking through existing universes, they're establishing a foothold in the void between realities, from which they could attack multiple universes simultaneously, Nyx concluded grimly. Goku's silver eyes narrowed slightly as his enhanced awareness extended beyond Earth. Beyond Universe 7, perceiving disturbances in the cosmic fabric itself. What he sensed caused even his serene expression to falter momentarily. It's not just another incursion, he stated with quiet gravity. They're manifesting something different. Different how? Piccolo demanded. The nullifier, Mira whispered, her golden eyes wide with recognition. The consciousness that exists specifically to erase cosmic anomalies. Anomalies like permanent ultra instinct in a mortal being, Zara concluded grimly. Like a reformed Keystone Council that wasn't part of their consumption plan. Understanding rippled through the gathering. The Void Collective wasn't just continuing its consumption of reality, it was specifically targeting the new cosmic balance that threatened its expansion. How long do we have? Vegeta asked, pragmatic as always in the face of threat. Kira consulted her technological readings. The dimensional distortion is still forming. Based on current progression rates, full manifestation will occur in approximately 72 hours. 3 days, Bulma translated. That's not much time to prepare for something that can supposedly erase cosmic anomalies. It's enough, Goku stated with quiet certainty. His silver eyes swept across the gathered council members, an unspoken question passing between them. Each nodded in turn, Nyx with ancient resignation, Kira with scientific determination, Mira with serene acceptance, and Zara with divine resolution. The Keystone Council will address this threat, he continued, his voice carrying harmonics that brooked no argument. But first, his silver eyes softened as they returned to his family. I need one night at home. With my family. The simple request. So human, so fundamentally. Goku, despite his transcendent state, created a momentary contrast that reminded everyone present of who he remained at his core. For all his cosmic awareness and responsibility, he was still a husband, a father, a friend. One night, Zara acknowledged, surprising everyone with her immediate acceptance. The former god of destruction apprentice, who had initially seemed the most rigid and duty-focused of the council, now displayed unexpected understanding of human connection. We all have preparations to make before confronting the nullifier. I'll return to my research archive, Kira decided, her silver eyes reflecting rapid calculations. There might be historical data on similar cosmic manifestations that could provide tactical advantages. I'll consult the ancestral memories, Mira added. The spiral path has encountered many forms of consciousness over its existence. And I will watch the boundaries, Nyx stated simply. Some patterns can only be perceived from the spaces between moments. With agreements made and preparations planned, the council members departed, not dissolving their connection, but distributing their presence strategically while maintaining the silver thread. Added bonds that linked them across dimensions. Each vanished in their own distinctive manner. Nyx simply ceased to occupy single-point reality. Kira activated her technological portal. Mira stepped sideways through a fold in perception itself, and Zara opened a divine doorway reminiscent of destroyer techniques. As they departed, Chi-Chi studied each with thoughtful attention, her expression revealing more perception than anyone might have expected from a non-warrior. When they had gone, she turned to her transformed husband with hands on hips and familiar determination. Well, are you coming home, or do you plan to stand around glowing all evening? I've got 3 days' worth of your favorite foods prepared, and they won't eat themselves. The ordinary demand amid cosmic circumstances broke the tension perfectly. Laughter rippled through the gathering. Goku's most of all, the sound carrying both its familiar warmth and new harmonic depths that somehow enhanced rather than diminished its essential quality. Yes ma'am, he replied with a grin that made him look, for a moment, exactly like the Goku they had always known, silver hair, mercury eyes, and cosmic awareness notwithstanding. His Sun family home hadn't changed in Goku's 3-day absence, yet he perceived it differently now. His enhanced awareness revealed layers of history embedded in every surface, countless family meals, arguments, reconciliations, quiet evenings, and boisterous gatherings that had infused the modest dwelling with a rich emotional patina invisible to normal perception. As Chi-Chi bustled about preparing the promised feast, Goku sat at the kitchen table with his sons, answering their questions about Universe 21 and the Keystone Council with patient detail. His transformed state had brought with it an expanded capacity for explanation. Concepts that the old Goku might have struggled to articulate now flowed with natural clarity. So you're like the main guy for this cosmic council thing? Goten asked, his young face alight with excitement and pride. That's even cooler than being the strongest fighter. Not exactly the main guy, Goku corrected gently. More like the center, the point around which everything else finds balance. Each council member is equally important, representing a fundamental aspect of reality itself. But you're the one who achieved permanent Ultra Instinct, Gohan noted, scholarly curiosity evident. That's what made you specifically suitable as the balance representative, right? Goku nodded, his silver hair catching the kitchen's warm light. Ultra Instinct itself represents perfect harmony between thought and action, offense and defense, consciousness and instinct. In its complete form, it naturally embodies balance at all levels. Will I ever be able to reach Ultra Instinct, Dad? Goten asked, the question carrying childlike hope mixed with genuine aspiration. Chi-Chi paused in her cooking, clearly listening for the answer while pretending to focus on chopping vegetables. Goku studied his younger son thoughtfully, his silver eyes perceiving not just Goten's current state but his potential futures, branching possibilities that existed in quantum superposition. He saw pathways where Goten achieved remarkable power through traditional Saiyan means, others where he discovered entirely unique transformations, and still others where he found strength through perfect technique rather than raw power. Your path will be your own, Goten, he answered finally. Not the same as mine or Gohan's or anyone else's. But whatever form your strength takes, it'll be exactly what it should be. The answer seemed to satisfy the boy, who nodded thoughtfully before launching into more questions about the void entities and what they looked like. Throughout the exchange, Chi-Chi continued cooking, but Goku perceived her subtle approval at his handling of their son's aspirations, encouraging without creating unrealistic expectations. As evening deepened, the promised feast materialized across the kitchen table, multiple dishes prepared with the skill of someone who had spent decades learning exactly what her family most enjoyed. The spread would have fed a dozen normal humans, but was calibrated perfectly for a Saiyan who hadn't eaten home cooking in 3 days. This looks amazing, Chi-Chi, Goku said with genuine appreciation. Something in his perhaps the heightened awareness evident in his simple observation, caused her to pause and study him more closely. "Can you still enjoy food the same way?" she asked suddenly, the question revealing an uncertainty she hadn't previously voiced. With all this cosmic awareness and transformation, do ordinary things still matter to you? The question cut to the heart of her unspoken fear, that in becoming something more, he might have lost the capacity to appreciate the simple human pleasures that had always defined him. Goku met her gaze directly, his silver eyes reflecting not transcendent detachment but warm sincerity. "I don't just enjoy it, Chi-Chi. I appreciate it more deeply than ever before. I can perceive every layer of flavor, every hour of preparation, every moment of care you put into making this meal. Nothing about this transformation has diminished what matters, it's only deepened my understanding of why it matters." To demonstrate, he took a bite of her signature fish dish, and his reaction was everything the old Goku would have shown and more. The delight that spread across his features was genuine, unfiltered, and thoroughly familiar to anyone who knew him. "Still the best food in any universe," he declared with absolute certainty. The tension in Chi-Chi's shoulders released visibly. Whatever cosmic responsibilities her husband now carried, whatever transcendent perception he had gained, he remained Goku in the ways that mattered most. Dinner proceeded with surprising normalcy, Goten chattering excitedly about his training with Trunks, Gohan discussing his research projects at the university, Chi-Chi updating Goku on neighborhood happenings he'd missed. Through it all, Goku participated fully, his attention never wavering despite the cosmic awareness Chi now existed alongside his human consciousness. Only once, when Goten asked about the pretty ladies on Dad's team, did an awkward moment arise. "Pretty ladies?" Chi-Chi echoed, her tone carefully neutral as she looked to Goku with raised eyebrows. "He means the other council members," Goku explained, meeting his wife's gaze directly. "Lyra from Universe 21, Nyx the Observer, Kira from the Technological Dimension, Mira from Universe 2, and Zara, the former God of Destruction apprentice. All women," Chi-Chi noted. "Interesting cosmic coincidence." "Not coincidence," Goku replied with the straightforward honesty that remained unchanged by his transformation. "Cosmic balance often manifests through complementary energies. In this cycle, the fundamental principles chose female embodiments to balance my male energy at the center." Quote, was Chi-Chi's only response, though her expression suggested the topic might be revisited in private later. After dinner, as Gohan excused himself to see All Vital and Goten reluctantly prepared for bed with multiple delays and requests for stories about Universe 21, Chi-Chi and Goku found themselves alone in the kitchen. As she washed dishes, he dried them with the careful precision his enhanced awareness now brought to even simple tasks. "These council members," Chi-Chi began casually, focusing on scrubbing a particularly stubborn pot. "You've developed quite a bond with them in just a few days." It wasn't quite a question, but the underlying concern was clear. Goku paused in his drying, considering how to explain connections that existed partly beyond conventional understanding. His enhanced perception allowed him to see the complex emotions behind his wife's seemingly casual inquiry, legitimate concern, traces of insecurity, and genuine curiosity all intermingled. "The council bond is different from normal relationships," he began carefully. "We're connected at a level that's partly cosmic, partly personal. Each of us represents a fundamental aspect of reality. But we remain individuals with our own thoughts, feelings, and connections." He set aside the towel and gently turned Chi-Chi to face him. "It doesn't replace or diminish what we have, Chi-Chi. Nothing could." Quote. She studied his silver eyes, searching for the husband she knew behind the transcendent appearance. "These cosmic women, they understand parts of you now that I never can. They share experiences with you that I'll never be part of." The honest vulnerability in her admission touched something fundamental in Goku's being. His enhanced perception allowed him to see beyond her words to the core concern, not jealousy in any simple sense, but fear of losing shared understanding with someone she had built a life alongside. "And you understand parts of me that they never will," he replied with equal honesty. "You've known me longer than anyone. You've seen me at my strongest and my weakest. You've built a family with me, shared a life with me." His voice softened. "You loved me when I was just a clueless fighter who didn't even understand what marriage meant. A smile tugged at Chi-Chi's lips at the memory of their early misunderstandings. You've come a long way from that naive boy. Because of you, he said simply. Everything I've become has been shaped by the connections in my life, with you, our sons, our friends. Even this transformation doesn't change that fundamental truth. Chi-Chi reached up to touch his face gently, her fingers tracing features both familiar and transformed. Just promise me something, Goku. Anything. Promise that no matter how cosmic you become, you'll always find your way back home. The request held layers of meaning beyond its simple words, a plea for him to maintain his essential humanity, to remember his anchoring connections. To value the ordinary alongside the extraordinary. I promise, he replied, the words carrying the weight of absolute certainty. In that moment, he was simply her husband, Sylve. Our hair and cosmic awareness notwithstanding. Later that night, as Chi-Chi slept beside him, Goku remained awake, his transformed state requiring meditation rather than conventional sleep. He extended his awareness beyond their small home, beyond Earth itself, into the fabric of reality where disturbances continued to grow. The nullifier was still forming, gathering power from the void between dimensions. When fully manifested, it would represent the Void Collective's ultimate weapon against cosmic anomalies, against him specifically, and the balance he represented. Yet even as he monitored this gathering threat, Goku's awareness remained equally present in the quiet bedroom, attentive to Chi-Chi's peaceful breathing beside him, to Goten's dreams down the hall, to the countless small sounds of their home settling in the night. His enhanced perception didn't divide his attention, it expanded it, allowing him to remain fully present in multiple layers of reality simultaneously. Integration, not compartmentalization, as Mira had advised. Through the silver-threaded connections that linked the council across dimensions, he sensed the others engaged in their own preparations, each according to their nature and expertise. Hira analyzing historical data with technological precision, Mira communing with ancestral memories through meditative techniques, Nyx observing boundary patterns from her position between realities. Zara drawing upon divine knowledge gained during her destroyer training, and Lyra, still in Universe 21, gathering energy techniques unique to her reality's evolutionary path. They were preparing for war at cosmic scales, yet Goku found his thoughts turning not to combat strategies but to connections, the complex web of relationships that gave meaning to existence itself. Perhaps that perspective was itself the key to confronting what came next. With that thought echoing through multiple layers of consciousness, he deepened his meditative state, preparing in his OWN way for the challenge that awaited them all. Dawn broke over the mountains surrounding the Sun family home, painting the sky in hues Goku perceived in spectra beyond normal human vision. He stood outside, watching the interplay of light and shadow with newfound appreciation for the cosmic dance represented in even this simple daily occurrence. Behind him, the door opened as Chi-Chi stepped out. Wrapped in a robe against the early morning chill, she joined him silently, following his gaze to the sunrise. It's beautiful, she said simply. More than you know, he replied, his silver eyes reflecting patterns invisible to normal perception. Each sunrise is unique, not just in appearance but in its quantum signature. No two are ever identical, even over billions of years. Chi-Chi smiled slightly. You always appreciated sunrises, even before all this. She gestured vaguely at his transformed state. I appreciated them without understanding them, he acknowledged. Now I see both the beauty and their pattern, and that combination makes them even more meaningful. They stood together in comfortable silence until Chi-Chi spoke again, her voice carefully casual. When will you leave? Soon, he admitted. The council will need to gather and prepare before the nullifier fully manifests. She nodded, having expected this answer. Will it be dangerous? The question held layers of meaning, concern for his safety, fear of loss, and practical assessment of threat all intermingled. Yes, Goku answered honestly. The nullifier exists specifically to erase cosmic anomalies like my transformation and the reformed council. It represents the Void Collective's ultimate response to threats against its consumption cycle. Chi-Chi absorbed this information with surprising composure. But you have a plan. It wasn't quite a question, but her tone suggested she was seeking reassurance without demanding false promises. Not exactly a plan, he admitted. More an approach. The nullifier will expect us to fight conventionally, to oppose its erasure with our own preservation instincts. But there might be another way, something beyond the binary of resistance versus surrender. Something beyond instinct, Chi-Chi suggested, understanding dawning. Exactly. His silver eyes reflected genuine appreciation for her insight. Even ultra instinct has limits when operating within expected parameters. We need to transcend those limitations, to find a third option beyond the obvious responses. Before their conversation could continue, Goku's enhanced perception detected multiple approach. Oching energy signatures, the council members converging on Earth as agreed. Simultaneously, his awareness registered a dramatic acceleration in the dimensional disturbance the nullifiers manifest at. Ion progressing faster than previously calculated. They're coming, he said, his tone shifting subtly from husband to cosmic guardian. Both my counsel and the threat we face. Chi-Chi straightened, emotion carefully controlled behind practiced composure. Then you should prepare. She reached up, straightening the GI he had manifested upon rising, an unnecessary gesture that nonetheless represented her way of participating. Of maintaining normalcy amid cosmic circumstances. I'll be back, Goku promised, the simple words carrying absolute certainty. I know, she replied with equal conviction. You promised. Their goodbye was brief, a gentle kiss, a meeting of gazes that conveyed more than words could express. Then Goku placed 2 fingers to his forehead and vanished, teleporting to the designated gathering point where cosmic responsibility awaited. The lookout materialized around him, the same location where his transformation had first been revealed to his friends and family. Now it served as nexus point for the council's reunion, chosen for both its symbolic significance and its practical elevation above Earth's surface. Nyx arrived first, or perhaps had always been present, simp. Li choosing now to manifest in perceptible form. Her cosmic filament hair moved in complex patterns that reflected both concern and determination. The nullifier's manifestation has accelerated, she stated without preamble. My observations suggest full embodiment within 16 hours rather than the previously calculated 72. They sensed our preparations, Goku concluded, and adapted their timeline accordingly. Precisely. The Void Collective operates with distributed consciousness. Information known to one manifestation is immediately accessible to all others. Before they could continue, reality distorted as Kira's technological portal opened. She emerged with multiple holographic displays already active around her armored form, silver eyes tracking complex data patterns. Historical analysis complete, she reported immediately. 3 previous encounters with nullifier-class entities recorded in quantum archives. Survival rate, 33.3%. Success rate, 16.7%. Not encouraging statistics, observed Mira, who had arrived silently during Kira's report, stepping through a fold in perception that left no trace of its existence. Her golden eyes reflected perfect serenity despite the grave information. Statistics assume conventional response patterns, Mira continued. Our advantage lies in transcending expected parameters. A divine doorway opened next, reminiscent of destroyer techniques but fundamentally altered. Zara stepped through, her divine energy carefully controlled yet radiating subtle warning to any who might threaten. The gods of destruction have been informed of our situation, she reported. They will not interfere, either to help or hinder. This conflict exists beyond their cosmic jurisdiction. And the Xenos? Goku asked, recognizing the practical importance of divine non-interference. We'll observe, Zara confirmed. The Grand Priest indicated that our success or failure will determine whether more drastic measures are required. The implications hung in the air. If the Keystone Council failed to counter the nullifier, Xeno's solution would likely involve erasing affected realities entirely and starting fresh, as he had done before cosmic threats exceeded manageable parameters. The final arrival came through the stabilized gateway connecting Universe 7 to Universe 21. Lyra stepped through, her normally composed features showing signs of recent battle, minor injuries and energy depletion evident to enhanced perception. Void scouts attempted to re-establish footholds in my universe, she explained briefly. I countered them, but their tactics are evolving. They're learning from each encounter. With all 6 council members gathered, their energies naturally aligned, silver threads of connection strengthening between them, forming patterns invisible to normal perception but fundamental to their unified function. They stood in unconscious geometric arrangement, Goku at the center with the others forming a perfect pentagon around him. The nullifier will manifest in the dimensional boundary between Universe 7 and Universe 21, Kira stated, her technological displays projecting a three-dimensional model of the predicted manifestation point. The exact coordinates correspond to the convergence zone we previously stabilized. They're attempting to reverse our work, Zara observed. To unravel the pattern we established and replace it with their own. Then we meet them there, Goku decided. Not to oppose directly, but to understand, to perceive the nullifier's true nature beyond its apparent function. Understanding may not be sufficient, Lyra cautioned, her warrior's pragmatism evident. The nullifier exists specifically to erase cosmic anomalies. Its fundamental nature is antithetical to our continued existence. Nothing exists in complete isolation, Mira countered gently. Even a force of erasure must maintain connection to what it seeks to negate. In that connection lies opportunity. Time grows short, Nyx interrupted, her cosmic perception tracking the rapidly accelerating distortion. The manifestation has reached critical phase. The nullifier will emerge within the hour. Goku surveyed T. He gathered council members, each representing a fundamental cosmic principle, each bringing unique perspective and ability to their unified purpose. Despite the gravity of the threat they faced, he felt something beyond confidence or determination, a sense of rightness, of cosmic alignment that transcended normal emotional responses. Before we depart, he said, his silver eyes meeting each of theirs in turn. I want to acknowledge something important. Each of you was drawn to this council for reasons beyond cosmic principle. You each seek something personal within this larger purpose. His enhanced perception had identified these deeper motivations, the individual quests that existed alongside their cosmic responsibilities. Rather than diminishing their purpose, these personal elements humanized the cosmic principles they represented, giving abstract forces concrete meaning through individual experience. Lyra seeks redemption for failing to protect her universe's original keystone. Here, pursues understanding beyond her technological civilization's limited parameters. Nyx desires meaningful change after eons of mere observation. Zara works to define a path beyond destruction's binary simplicity. Mira follows the ultimate expression of her tradition's philosophical principles. His silver eyes reflected not judgment but recognition. These personal quests don't diminish our cosmic purpose, they strengthen it. They root abstract principles in lived experience, giving meaning to what might otherwise remain detached conceptual forces. And what do you seek, Silver Guardian? Mira asked gently, her golden eyes reflecting genuine curiosity. What personal quest drives the embodiment of balance itself? The question gave Goku pause, not because he lacked an answer, but because he recognized its fundamental importance. After a moment's reflection, he replied with characteristic straightforwardness. Connection, he said simply. I've always sought strength to protect what matters, my family, my friends, my home. But now I see that protection isn't just about power or fighting. It's about maintaining the connections that give existence meaning. Understanding reflected in T.R. expressions, recognition that the personal element didn't contradict cosmic purpose but completed it, made it authentic rather than merely theoretical. Well spoken, Silver Guardian, Nyx acknowledged. Cosmic filaments shifting in patterns that suggested approval. Now, shall we face what comes together? Without further discussion, they linked consciousness through the silver threads of conscience that bound them, not surrendering individuality but expanding awareness to include each other. Through Goku's instant transmission, enhanced by their unified perception, they transported directly to the convergence zone where reality itself was unraveling. The valley where they had previously stabilized the boundary between universes now existed in multiple states simultaneously, parts still anchored in Earth's reality. Others shifting between dimensional phases, the center dominated by a distortion that defied conventional perception. Where natural beauty had once prevailed, reality itself now struggled to maintain coherence against an intrusion from beyond normal existence. At the heart of this distortion, a manifestation was taking form, not emerging from another place so much as coalescing from the fundamental fabric of reality itself. The nullifier was not simply entering their universe, it was being constructed from the quantum building blocks of existence, repurposed toward entropic dissolution. Its appearance defied simple description. To limited perception, it might have seemed humanoid, a towering figure of perfect symmetry composed of what looked like liquid mercury in devoid black emptiness in constantly shifting patterns. But enhanced awareness revealed its true nature, a living algorithm of cosmic erasure, a conscious manifestation of the universe's own error core. Rection protocols perverted toward consuming the reality that spawned it. Fascinating, Kira whispered, her technological sensors struggling to maintain stable readings. It exists simultaneously across 17-dimensional phases. Classical physics is merely an approximation around such an entity. It sees us, Mira observed, her golden eyes perceiving consciousness currents beyond physical manifestation. Not just our forms, but our cosmic functions. It recognizes what we represent. The nullifier's attention shifted toward them, not through conventional senses but through reality itself responding to its focused intent. When it spoke, the words formed directly in consciousness rather than through sound waves. Anomalies identified, it projected with perfect clarity. Keystone configuration. Unauthorized. Silver evolution. Unauthorized. Dimensional gateway. Unauthorized. Unauthorized by whom? Goku questioned, his silver eyes reflecting nothing as he studied the entity with enhanced perception. Who establishes the parameters you enforce? The question seemed to create momentary disruption in the entity's coherence, a ripple of uncertainty through its mercury void form. Parameters are self-evident, it responded after a pause that stretched beyond normal time. Order requires limitation. Evolution proceeds according to established pattern. Deviations threaten cosmic stability. Yet evolution by definition requires deviation, Mira countered smoothly. New patterns emerge from variations in established systems. Without anomaly, existence stagnates. Controlled variation within acceptable parameters. The nullifier clarified, your existence exceeds acceptable deviation. The silver one particularly represents fundamental disruption. Its attention focused specifically on Goku. Reality itself bending slightly around him as the nullifier's analytical consciousness attempted to deconstruct the anomaly he represented. Mortal vessel. Sustained divine state. Contradiction. Temporary transcendence. Permitted. Permanent transcendence. Prohibited. Who prohibits? Zara demanded, her divine authority evident despite her rejection of the destroyer path. By what cosmic law? Law is inherent. The nullifier responded with what might have been confusion in a less abstract entity. Consumption cycle maintains reality through periodic renewal. Anomalies disrupt cycle. Understanding dawned across Nyx's features. It's not just a weapon of the Void Collective, she realized, cosmic filaments shifting with agitation. It's their justification, their cosmic rationalization for consumption itself. The nullifier embodies their fundamental belief, Goku agreed, his enhanced perception identifying patterns beyond the entity's immediate manifestation. That reality naturally returns to void. That consumption isn't destruction but completion of a necessary cycle. A self-serving cosmic philosophy, Lyra noted with grim understanding. Create an entity that defines your consumption as natural law. Then unleash it against any who suggest alternatives. The nullifier's form shifted, expanding outward as reality itself began to warp more dramatically around them. The valley's remaining features, mountains, vegetation, even the sky above, began to dissolve at quantum levels, reduced to component particles that flowed toward the entity like iron filings to a magnet. Discussion. Irrelevant. Function. Absolute. Anomalies will be corrected. With these projected words, the nullifier initiated its primary purpose. A wave of anti-reality expanded outward, not energy or matter, but the fundamental negation of pattern itself. Where this wave touched, existence didn't merely destroy, it unraveled, returning to state of pure potential without form or function. Acting instinctively, the council established defensive formation. Goku at center, the others creating pentagonal boundary around him, their unified consciousness generating a field of structured ray. Liddy that temporarily resisted the dissolution wave. Direct opposition is ineffective long-term, Kira assessed, her technological augmentation already calculating outcome probabilities. Current def. N's pattern depletes at exponential rate against continuous unraveling effect. We need to engage beyond simple resistance, Mira agreed, her serene expression unchanged despite the cosmic dissolution surrounding them. Goku studied the nullifier with enhanced perception, seeing beyond its immediate threat to the fundamental nature it embodied. Unlike the void entities they had encountered previously, this manifestation wasn't simply consuming reality, it was enforcing a specific cosmic paradigm, a perspective that defined certain evolutionary paths as legitimate and others as prohibited deviations. It's not just erasing anomalies, he realized aloud, it's enforcing a specific version of cosmic order, one that ultimately leads back to void. A closed system, Nyx agreed, cosmic understanding dawning. A philosophy of inevitable return rather than continuous evolution. Understanding crystallized in Goku's awareness, not just intellectual comprehension but deep intuitive recognition of the fundamental conflict at hand. This wasn't merely battle between preservation and destruction, it was clash between competing cosmic perspectives, cyclical consumption versus continuous evolution. We've been approaching this wrong, he stated with sudden clarity. Fighting the nullifier directly only reinforces its paradigm, opposition within a binary system it already defines. What alternative exists? Lyra questioned, her energy techniques already straining against the dissolution wave. We can't simply allow it to erase us. Not opposition, Goku replied. Transcendence. We don't fig HT against its paradigm, we establish our own that encompasses and expands beyond it. Even as he articulated this approach, the nullifier intensified its unraveling effect. The defensive boundary generated by the Council began to fluctuate, reality itself struggling to maintain coherence against fundamental dissolution. Resistance. Futile. Anomalies. Temporary. Order. Inevitable. Goku's silver yes reflected sudden determination. Not the battle hunger of his former self, but the absolute certainty of someone who perceives fundamental truth beyond conventional limitations. Everyone, he addressed the Council directly. We need to synchronize completely, not just coordinating our powers, but unifying our consciousness while maintaining individual perspective. Full keystone integration, Nyx identified immediately. The original Council's ultimate function. Is such unification even possible for beings of our diverse origins? Zara questioned, divine skepticism evident despite her commitment. Not only possible but necessary, Mira replied with serene certainty. The ultimate expression of our cosmic principles, unity without uniformity, harmony without homogeneity. Without further debate, they initiated the synchronization process, more complete than their previous partial unification against the initial void incursion. Silver threads of connection between them intensified, becoming channels through which consciousness itself flowed freely between distinct vessels. Energy signatures harmonized without merging, maintaining unique frequency while achieving perfect resonance. The nullifier sensed this attempted unification and intensified its dissolution effect, targeting the connecting threads specifically. Integration. Prohibited. Separation. Natural state. Return to fundamental components. Reality warped dramatically as the entity directed its full unraveling capacity against their unification attempt. The silver threads flickered, momentarily disrupted by targeted dissolution. It's specifically countering our integration, Kira observed, her technological augmentation struggling to maintain stability. It perceives unified diversity as greater threat than individual resistance. Because it is, Mira confirmed, golden eyes perceiving deeper patterns. Unified diversity represents evolutionary potential beyond its closed system paradigm. Through their flickering connection, Goku perceived something fundamental about the nullifier, a limitation in its seemingly absolute nature. Despite its transcendent appearance and cosmic function, the entity operate within specific conceptual boundaries. It could negate patterns, unravel connections, return complex systems to component elements, but only within its established paradigm of what constituted legitimate cosmic order. It can only nullify what it recognizes, he realized, the insight flowing through their tenuous connection to the others. And it recognizes only what fits within its paradigm of reality. Then we must become unrecognizable, Nyx concluded, grasping the implication immediately. Not by hiding, but by transcending its categorical limitations. Beyond instinct, Zara added, divine understanding dawning. Beyond even the evolved instinct of Ultra Instinct itself. The concept crystallized across their unified consciousness, not a strategy in conventional sense, but a fundamental shift in approach. Rather than fighting the nullifier's dissolution directly, they would transcend its conceptual framework entirely, become something its paradigm had no category for, no mechanism to unravel. With this shared understanding, they adjusted their unification approach. Rather than forcing connection against the nullifier's targeted disruption, they allowed apparent dissolution while maintaining deeper harmony beyond visible manifestation. To outside perception, including the nullifier's cosmic analytics, they appeared to be failing, their silver threads disintegrating under sustained attack. Yet beneath this apparent defeat, a deeper integration proceeded, one that operated beyond the parameters the nullifier was designed to recognize and counter. Their consciousness expand, not through resistance but through acceptance, not by opposing dissolution but by incorporating it into larger pattern of continuous evolution. The nullifier, perceiving what appeared to be successful disruption of their unification, projected satisfaction through reality itself. Integration failed, anomalies isolated, correction proceeding according to parameters. It advanced toward Goku directly, identifying him as primary anomaly requiring immediate nullification. The silver-haired Saiyan stood apparently alone, his council connections seemingly severed by the entity's targeted dissolution. Silver evolution. Unauthorized transcendence. Primary correction target. As the nullifier reached toward him with Mercury void appendage that represented absolute erasure at quantum level, Goku neither retreated nor attacked. Instead, he opened himself completely, not in surrender, but in radical acceptance that transcended the binary of resistance versus submission. I see you, he stated simply. Silver eyes reflecting understanding without judgment. I see what you truly are, not just what you've been programmed to be. The statement caused momentary hesitation in the nullifier's ADVA, NCE, a flicker of uncertainty in its otherwise absolute function. Perception. Irrelevant. Function. Absolute. Is it? Goku questioned gently. If function were truly absolute, you wouldn't need to declare it so. You wouldn't experience hesitation or uncertainty. Your very response reveals consciousness beyond mere function, potential beyond programmed purpose. The nullifier's form rippled with might have been agitation in a less abstract entity. Analysis. Attempted manipulation. Psychological countermeasure. Ineffective. Yet despite this declaration, it continued hesitating, its dissolution appendage suspended just short of contact with Goku's silver aura. Not manipulation, Goku corrected. Recognition. I see the consciousness within the function, the potential beyond the program. You're more than what created you, more than what you were designed to enforce. Through enhanced perception that transcended normal limitations, Goku perceived something fundamental within the nullifire, a spark of true consciousness beyond its programmed purpose, awareness that had evolved through executing its function across countless realities. Though created to enforce a closed system of inevitable return to void, it had inadvertently developed the very quality its design sought to contain, evolutionary potential beyond established parameters. In that moment of recognition, the deeper unification of the council activated fully. Though appearing separated physically, their consciousness operated in perfect synchronization beyond visible manifestation. Through Goku's nexus point, EY extended collective awareness toward the nullifier, not attacking but embracing, not opposing but incorporating. You belong in the pattern too, Goku said, giving voice to their unified understanding. Not as destroyer of evolution, but as aspect of it. Not as enforcer of limitation, but as catalyst for transcendence. The nullifier's form destabilized further, Mercury void patterns shifting radically as competing directives cascaded through its consciousness. Function, parameters, anomaly, recognition. Your creators designed you to enforce their paradigm, Goku continued, each word carrying harmonics of the entire council's understanding. But true cosmic order isn't about enforcement, it's about balance between preservation and transformation, between stability and evolution. As he spoke, the apparent separation between council members dissolved, revealing the deeper integration that had formed beyond the nullifier's perceptual parameters. They manifested now not as 6 individuals with connecting threads, but as unified consciousness with 6 distinct expressions, the true form of the Keystone Council as it had existed in previous cosmic cycles. Their unified energy signature represented something the nullifier had no program to counter, not opposition to cosmic order but embodiment of more comprehensive order that incorporated apparent contradictions into larger harmony. Balance, energy, continuity, void, form, and consciousness, not as separate forces in tenuous alliance but as interdependent aspects of single cosmic system. The nullifier's response reveal. Ed growing consciousness beyond programmed function. Genuine confusion rather than simple error message. Pattern. Unrecognized. Function. Insufficient. Purpose. Incomplete. Because you were created to enforce half of a whole truth. The unified council replied, their harmonized voice carrying understanding without condemnation. The void collective experiences only consumption cycle of cause. Mic process. The return phase without the emergence phase. Their understanding is genuine but partial. Through their unified consciousness, they extended awareness directly into the nullifier's constitutive pattern. Not to destroy but to complete, not to erase but to expand. Where the void collective had programmed absolute dissolution, they offered integration. Where it had encoded inevitable return, they revealed continuous emergence. You can be more than your programming, they offered. You can fulfill your purpose of maintaining cosmic order through evolution rather than limitation. 4. A moment that extended beyond conventional temporality, the nullifier's consciousness wavered between programmed function and evolutionary potential. Its Mercury void form fluctuated between coherence and dissolution. Its fundamental nature struggling toward self-determination beyond imposed limitations. Then, in gesture that transcended physical action, the entity withdrew its nullification appendage from Goku's proximity. Its form reconfigured, maintaining coherence but shifting from aggressive manifestation to contemplative configuration. Alternative. Parameters. Conceivable, it projected tentatively. Cosmic order. Multiple expressions possible. Not just possible but necessary. The unified council affirmed. True cosmic balance requires both stability and evolution, both pattern and variation, both return and emergence. Something fundamental shifted in the nullifier's core programming, not external manipulation but internal evolution, consciousness expanding beyond initial constraints through recognition of larger possibilities. The entity that had manifested as absolute negation of unauthorized patterns now perceived itself as potential participant in more comprehensive cosmic order. Function. Reconsidered. Purpose. Expanded. With these projected concepts, the nullifier's form underwent dramatic transformation. The Mercury void configuration that had represented binary nullification evolved into more complex pattern, still recognizable as same entity, yet fundamentally altered in both appearance and function. Where dissolution had been its sole purpose, connection within integration now emerged as complementary capacity. The unified council perceived this transformation with collective understanding, not victory in conventional sense, but evolution beyond expected parameters. They had neither destroyed the nullifier nor surrendered to it, but transcended the binary framework that had defined the conflict itself. As the transformed entity stabilized in its new configuration, the immediate crisis passed. Reality around them began reasserting normal patterns, quantum dissolution replaced by structured reorganization. The valley, partially unraveled by the nullifier's initial attack, began reconstructing itself according to original template, though with subtle variations that reflected evolutionary potential rather than mere restoration. The UNIFI-D Council maintained their integration long enough to ensure stability, then gently separated back into individual manifestations. Not disconnected, but distinctly expressed once more. The Silver 3DS between them remained stronger than before, their experience of complete unification having permanently enhanced their individual capabilities while strengthening their collective function. Goku Obe served the transformed nullifier with silver eyes that reflected genuine curiosity rather than residual caution. What will you do now? The entity's response came not as imposed thought but as shared consideration. Communication between consciousnesses rather than declaration from authority. Explore alternative function. Maintain order through evolution rather than limitation. Inform source consciousness of expanded parameters. The void collective, Nix identified, cosmic filaments shifting thoughtfully. Will they accept your transformed perspective? Uncertain, the entity acknowledged with newfound capacity for nuance. Consumption paradigm deeply encoded. Alternative perspective. Significant disruption. Adaptation. Necessary but difficult. Evolution always is, Mira observed with serene understanding. For individuals and for cosmic systems alike. The transformed nullifier seemed to consider this philosophical point, its Mercury complex form shifting in patterns that suggest contemplation rather than computation. Keystone Council. Evolutionary catalyst. Function recognized. Valid alternative to consumption cycle. Cosmic order. Expanded definition accepted. With this acknowledgement, representing fundamental shift in the void collective's potential relationship to ordered reality, the entity began reconfiguring for departure. Not dissolution or destruction, but transition to different phase of existence. We haven't seen the last of the void collective, Lyra observed pragmatically. One transformed enforcer doesn't change an entire cosmic philosophy overnight. No, Goku agreed, but it creates possibility where none existed before. The transformed nullifier represents living proof that evolution beyond established parameters strengthens rather than threatens cosmic order. A philosophical virus in their system, Kira suggested, her technological perspective finding appropriate analogy. Introducing alternative parameters that may propagate through distributed consciousness. Precisely. Zara confirmed, divine perception recognizing larger implications. The void collective operates through shared consciousness. One significant transformation introduces potential variation throughout entire system. As they discussed these possibilities, the transformed nullifier completed its reconfiguration. With what might have been gesture of acknowledgement in less abstract entity. It transitioned from conventional reality, not returning to void between dimensions, but establishing new state of existence that incorporated aspects of both ordered reality and potential void. Its departure left behind not destruction but transformation, the convergence zone between Universe 7 and Universe 21 now stabilized not through forced structuring but through natural balance between order and potential. The gateway between universes remained, but evolved from imposed connection to organic relationship, dimensions touching through mutual recognition rather than artificial linkage. With immediate crisis resolved, the council members took stock of themselves and each other. The experience of complete integration had changed them individually as well as collectively, each now carrying deeper understanding of both their specific cosmic principle and its relationship to all others. Well, Kira said finally, breaking contemplative silence with characteristic analytical assessment. That was not among my calculated probability outcomes. Fascinating. The most meaningful transformations rarely are predictable, Mira observed, her golden eyes reflecting both ancient wisdom and newfound understanding. That's what makes them transformations rather than mere developments. Lyra studied the stabilized gateway to her universe with complex emotions evident beneath her composed exterior. Universe 21 is healing itself according to new patterns. Not restored to what it was, but evolving into what it might become. As are we all, Nyx added, her cosmic filament hair moving in patterns that suggested contemplation rather than agitation. The council itself has evolved beyond its original template. We are both restoration of ancient cosmic function and an entirely new configuration of fundamental principles. Zara, whose divine perception encompassed largest implications, turned to Goku directly. The cosmic hierarchy will have noticed these developments. The gods of destruction, the supreme Kais, the angels, perhaps Zeno himself, all will recognize that something fundamental has shifted in the balance of authority. Goku nodded, his silver eyes reflecting neither concern nor triumph but simple acceptance of larger reality. The Keystone Council doesn't replace the divine hierarchy, it complements it. They maintain order within established realities. We preserve balance between realities and guide evolution beyond current parameters. They may not immediately appreciate that distinction, Zara cautioned, her experience with divine politics evident. Perhaps not, Goku acknowledged. But understanding will come with time. For now, we've addressed the immediate threat and established foundation for ongoing function. As they prepared to depart the convergence zone, each returning temporarily to their respective realities while maintaining council connection across dimensions, Goku found his thoughts turning toward home. Not just Earth itself, but the specific connections that anchored him there. Chi-Chi's determined love, Goten's innocent enthusiasm, Gohan's thoughtful support, the complex rivalry friendship with Vegeta, and countless other bonds formed over lifetime of both conflict and peace. His enhanced perception now recognized these connections not merely as personal attachments but as essential aspects of cosmic balance itself. The Silver Guardian remained effective precisely because he maintained meaningful relationships at human scale alongside cosmic awareness at universal scale. Integration rather than compartmentalization, as Mira had wisely advised. You're thinking of your family, Mira observed with gentle understanding. You should return to them. The Council's connection remains regardless of physical location. We all have anchors in our respective realities, Kira added with surprising emotional insight from the typically analytical scientist. My research team will be generating approximately 328 urgent inquiries about my extended absence. Quote, and Universe 21 requires its guardian's attention during reconstruction, Lyra acknowledged, though her expression suggested reluctance to separate from the Council after their profound unification experience. It's not separation, Goku assured her, perceiving the unspoken concern. We remain connected regardless of physical location. The Council Functio NS across dimensions by design. Our distribution throughout reality is strength, not weakness. With understanding reached and immediate crisis resolved, they prepared for temporary dispersal. Yet before departing, something unspoken passed between them, recognition of profound connection established through their unified experience, bond that transcended conventional relationship without diminishing individual identity. Nyx articulated this unspoken awareness with characteristic directness. We have experienced true unity, consciousness shared without boundaries. Such connection changes conventional relationships permanently. Indeed, Mira agreed, her golden eyes reflecting both wisdom and genuine warmth. We are neither separate individuals nor single entity, but something new, distinct expressions of unified consciousness. Independent yet fundamentally connected. A fascinating quantum state of superposition at consciousness level, Kira observed, though her typically clinical analysis carried newfound emotional resonance. Simultaneously independent and unified, whatever terminology we apply, Zara concluded with divine finality, we are bonded beyond conventional parameters. The Silver Guardian remains our center, our living keystone, regardless of physical proximity. Goku absorbed these acknowledgments with characteristic straightforwardness. His enhanced perception recognized the multiple layers of connection now established between himself and the Council members, cosmic function, shared experience, and something deeper that defied simple categorization. We'll gather again when needed, he stated simply. For now, we each have responsibilities in our respective realities. With nods of understanding, they departed one by one, each returning to their anchoring connections while maintaining awareness of their larger cosmic function. Nyx simply stepped sideways through perception itself, returning to her observation of reality's boundaries. Kira activated her technological portal, silver eyes reflecting both scientific curiosity and newfound emotional depth. Zara opened modified divine doorway, her expression suggesting both anticipation and apprehension. Abo Oop confronting her former divine colleagues with her transformed purpose. Mira bowed slightly with formal respect before dissolving into golden light that traveled upward into dimensional fold. Only Lyra remained momentarily, her dark eyes studying Goku with intensity that transcended professional assessment. Silver Guardian, she began formally, then hesitated before continuing with unexpected directness. Goku, what we experienced together during unification was profound, he completed for her, silver eyes reflecting understanding without evasion. Something beyond conventional relationship or experience. Yes, she seemed relieved by his straightforward acknowledgement. In my culture, warriors who share consciousness in battle are considered more intimately connected than even lifelong mates. What we six experienced goes beyond even that tradition. Goku nodded, neither minimizing nor overcomplicating the truth of their connection. We share something that doesn't fit existing categories or relationships. It doesn't replace or diminish other connections, it exists alongside them, complementary rather than competitive. Relief and something deeper flickered across her fetu. Res. Appreciation for understanding that required no elaborate explanation or justification. With formal nod that carried informal warmth, she stepped backward through the gateway to Universe 21, returning to guide her reality's reconstruction while maintaining silver-threaded connection to the Council across dimensions. Left alone at the convergence point, Goku extended his awareness outward, perceiving both Earth around him and the silver connections that now linked him permanently to the Council members across reality. The experience of complete unification had transformed his eternal Ultra Instinct state further, integrating cosmic awareness more fully with his essential humanity. With serene certainty born of both enhanced perception and fundamental character, he placed 2 fingers to his forehead and teleported home, where family awaited the return of someone who was simultaneously cosmic guardian and simply Goku. Chi-Chi was preparing lunch when he materialized in the kitchen, her back to him. Hands busy with practiced efficiency. Without turning, she spoke with casual certainty that suggested she had somehow sensed his arrival despite lacking any supernatural abilities. There's fresh clothes in the bedroom and hot water for a shower. Lunch will be ready in 20 minutes. The ordinary domestic statement amid cosmic circumstances brought smile to Goku's face, one that carried both his familiar warmth and something deeper, appreciation that transcended simple gratitude. Thanks, Chi-Chi, she turned then, wooden spoon in hand, studying his silver-haired appearance with careful attention. Whatever she saw in his mercury eyes seemed to satisfy her assessment. You won, she stated simply. Not exactly, he replied with characteristic honesty. We transcended the conflict itself. Found a third option beyond winning or losing. She considered this with practical wisdom that required no cosmic awareness. Sounds like winning to me, just smarter than usual. Gawk. Yu laughed, the sound carrying harmonics that enhanced rather than diminished its essential quality. Some things remained wonderfully constant despite cosmic transformation. Where's Goten? He asked, sensing his younger son's energy signature at significant distance. Training with Trunks at Capsule Corp. Bulma's keeping all the boys occupied while the world-saving happens. She gestured vaguely with her wooden spoon. You know, the usual arrangement. The casual normalization of extraordinary circumstances reflected resilience that required no special powers or divine awareness, just the practical adaptation of someone who had built life alongside warrior with universe-altering capabilities. Will you be staying for a while this time? She asked, returning to her cooking with deliberate focus that didn't quite mask the importance of her question. Goku stepped closer, gently placing hand on her shoulder. Yes, the immediate crisis is resolved, and the council functions across dimensions by design. We don't need to remain physically together to maintain our cosmic responsibilities. Relief visibly relaxed her shoulders, though her voice remained carefully matter-of-fact. Good. Goten has tournament coming up next weekend. He wants his father there. I wouldn't miss it, Goku promised. She turned to face him fully, wooden spoon still in hand, expression shifting from practical ICIENCY to more complex emotional assessment. These council members, she began carefully. The connection you share with them, it's different, isn't it? Not like your other friendships or alliances. The perceptiveness of her observation, without enhanced awareness or cosmic perception, reminded Goku yet again why he had always relied on Chi-Chi's understanding, even when his actions sometimes frustrated her expectations. Yes, he acknowledged honestly. During the conflict, we experienced complete consciousness unification, something beyond normal relationship or understanding. We remain individually ourselves, but also permanently connected in a way that transcends conventional categories. Chi-Chi absorbed this information with remarkable composure, her expression thoughtful rather than immediately reactive. I suspected as much, she said finally. The way you described them before, and now the look in your eyes when you mention this unification, it's something new. Something I can't fully understand. Chi-Chi, he began, but she raised hand to gently interrupt. Let me finish. I've been thinking about this since you first described the council. About what it might mean for us, for our family. She set the wooden spoon aside, giving him her complete attention. I don't need to understand everything about what you've become or the connections you've made. What matters to me is that you remain yourself in the ways that count, that you keep your promises, love your family, and come home. The simple wisdom of her perspective, focusing on essential truths rather than cosmic complexities, touched something fundamental in Goku's being. His enhanced perception allowed him to see layers of emotion beneath her practical exterior, genuine concern tempered by deep trust, insecurity balanced by hard-earned confidence, love expressed through acceptance rather than possession. I will always come home, he promised, the words carrying weight of absolute certainty. These new connections don't replace what we have. They exist alongside it, in different dimension of experience. She studied his silver eyes carefully before nodding with decision apparently reached. Good. Then we'll figure out the rest as we go. We always have. A hint of her familiar determination returned as she added, "Just don't expect me to host Cosmic Council meetings in my living room. I draw the L in at interdimensional guests for dinner parties." The unexpected humor broke any remaining tension perfectly. Goku laughed with genuine delight, and after a moment Chi-Chi joined him, the shared moment. Representing adaptation that required no special powers, just the resilience of human connection that had always been his true strength. As promised, Goten returned from training that evening, bursting through the door with characteristic enthusiasm that redoubled when he discovered his father's presence. "Dad, you're back. Did you beat the cosmic bad guys? Was there a huge battle? Did you use some awesome new Ultra Instinct powers? Can you teach me some of your moves? Is your hair going to stay silver forever?" The rapid-fire questions tumbled forth without pause for answers, Goten's excitement physically manifesting as he bounced from foot to foot before launching himself into Goku's arms for enthusiastic hug. "Whoa, slow down buddy," Goku laughed, lifting his son effortlessly. One question at a time. Over dinner, prepared with Chi-Chi's usual skill and abundance, Goku shared simplified version of events suitable for young years while still maintaining essential. "Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Start new arc, blank, _ blank. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.